We're going to start with the very latest on the terror attacks at the Kabul airport and what they mean for the urgent mission to evacuate Afghanistan.
And then Lester Holdy's got an exclusive interview with the Capitol police officer who fatally shot a rioter during the January 6th siege, why he has decided to come forward for the first time.
Then we're going to switch gears a bit and introduce you to 5 friends who turned into business partners. We're going to tell you about how they took a plunge into the water business.
Oh, neat. Also, if you're stumped on what to make your family for dinner this weekend, look no further. We got Jada. Jada De Laurentiis is here with a great recipe to satisfy every single member of your family. So let's push play on this Friday edition of Today in 30. Evacuation flights out of Kabul resumed overnight just hours after 2 suicide bombers targeted the airport, killing more than 100 people, including 13 U.S. service members.
In the meantime, the U.S. is bracing for more violence in the region. The head of U.S. Central Command saying they expect the attacks to continue ahead of Tuesday's withdrawal deadline. We want to get it started this morning with NBC's Richard Engel. Richard, good morning to you.
Good morning, Savannah. The United States is wrapping up its longest war in history, the 20-year mission in Afghanistan. But now the U.S. is withdrawing under fire, not from the Taliban, but from ISIS. And U.S. military officials worry the extremists will continue to target Americans or try to target Americans until they leave.
This morning, the planes in Kabul are flying, but the evacuation that has already taken out more than 100,000 U.S. citizens, Afghan contractors, and asylum seekers now has greater urgency and even more heightened security concerns that ISIS could try to shoot down a flight or carry out another attack.
We believe it is their desire to continue those attacks, and we expect those attacks to continue. And we're doing everything we can to be prepared for those attacks.
In Kabul, medical officials keep raising the death toll to at least 100 killed and dozens injured. From 2 bombings, one at a crowded airport gate, another close by at a hotel used as a gathering point to go into Kabul airport. As Marines were doing pat-downs at the gate, checking for bombs, an evacuee was wearing one and detonated it, killing at least 13 service members, most of them Marines. Amid the explosions, gunmen opened fire. The U.S. is increasingly reliant on the Taliban for security. Our former enemies are pre-screening and patting down evacuees before they arrived at the U.S. manned gates. But this time, the new and unlikely cooperation broke down.
Clearly, if they were able to get up to the Marines at the screening at the entry point of the base, there's a failure somewhere.
ISIS-K, the ISIS offshoot in Afghanistan and Pakistan, claimed responsibility. ISIS is the enemy of both the U.S. and the Taliban, and now both sides are mutually interested in fighting them. When U.S. troops pulled out of combat bases in Afghanistan, including Bagram, triggering the collapse of the Afghan army, the Taliban made lightning advances. Prisoners broke out of unguarded jails, and thousands of ISIS, Al-Qaeda, and other extremists escaped. They have been on the loose for nearly 2 weeks, and they'd like nothing more than to seek their revenge by attacking the Americans as they leave, kicking them when they're down, firing on Americans as they leave Afghanistan in defeat.
The Taliban have set up even more checkpoints around the airport this morning, keeping crowds still further back. It means if you are an Afghan in Kabul right now, it is extremely difficult to reach the airport. Unless you have a bus, a special permission from the Taliban, the window has probably closed to get to the airport and get out. Savannah?
Joining us now, retired Admiral James Stavridis, who served as NATO's Supreme Allied Commander, overseeing its mission in Afghanistan from 2009 to 2013, and John Brennan, who served as CIA Director during the Obama administration, both NBC News security analysts. Gentlemen, good morning to you. Admiral, I keep thinking about the troops who woke up this morning in Afghanistan and went back under extraordinary circumstances, a danger that really can't be mitigated. How do you keep U.S. troops and Afghan allies safe in a situation like this?
Let's start by thinking about those 13 families who are waking up undoubtedly the worst day of their lives. I know it was a bad day for the president. It was a terrible day for those families. Savannah, there's no good solution here. And as I said a couple of times over the past few weeks, We are one truck bomb, one C-17 shoot down, one shootout at the KIA corral away from this mission going sideways. We can still pull this thing off. It's going to require total focus, doing everything we can to push the perimeter out, cooperating with the Taliban to do so, mitigating every conceivable threat, particularly threats against aircraft. Let's get this thing done by the 31st and step away.
Director Brennan, the Taliban, as mentioned, is providing the first layer of security, which is just stunning to even contemplate that that's the situation we're in, to rely on the Taliban for American security. But what options do we have? What leverage do we have with the Taliban to say, step it up?
Well, Savannah, we have no alternative but to work closely with the Taliban. They control the area outside of that airport. And so therefore, we have to interact with them. We're not relying on them, but in terms of making sure that they're doing everything possible to prevent individuals who have a terrorist agenda from getting close to that airport. Again, this is something that I think we know that the Taliban is not an organization that we would naturally work with. And also, there is concern that ISIS-K, the group that carried out this attack, is composed of a lot of former Taliban members. And so, therefore, infiltrating the Taliban by the ISIS organization is something that I think we have to be very wary of.
Absolutely. And Admiral, I mean, how likely is it that we see another attack like this or worse in these coming days?
I think better than even. And Director Brennan knows this better than anybody, but these kind of attacks tend to go in waves. Think about 3 to 4 years ago, and you felt like every month you were seeing a spectacular ISIS attack somewhere around the world. That's the DNA of this group. It's quite horrific to contemplate that. I would say what we ought to be thinking about is what do we do going forward? As John Brennan said, we're going to have to work with the Taliban. Think World War II. We worked with Stalin in order to overcome the Nazis. This is not dissimilar. We've got to find ways to keep eyes on intelligence in Afghanistan. We've got to be able to go over the horizon and to conclude, as President Biden said, never forgive, never forget, echoing the Borgias. The other saying is revenge is a dish best eaten cold. Let's focus on getting out of KIA airport. Job next is finding ISIS-K and putting them at the bottom of the Indian Ocean alongside bin Laden.
Well, that leads me exactly to where I wanted to head with the former CIA director among us, John Brennan. I mean, the president said we won't forgive or forget. We will retaliate. In practical terms, what could that mean?
Well, we still have some intelligence assets that we can use in terms of overhead collection capabilities. I know that U.S. intelligence officers continue to run sources inside of Afghanistan. And so what we're trying to do now, I'm certain, is to understand where the ISIS leadership resides, where these operatives are, to take the actions that are necessary to prevent a follow-on attack, but also to get to the heart of that organization. And this is something that I know that President Biden is determined to do. We have a clock that is ticking down to the 31st of August. I do believe that President Biden will stay focused on that departure date. But between now and then, there is an enormous challenge. It's a very, very dangerous security environment. But the U.S. military, U.S. intelligence, and others, I think, are going to do their absolute best prevent any more loss of life on the part of U.S. military or civilian personnel.
And a final word from you, Admiral, in the moments we have left. As you know, the administration is under fierce criticism from Democrats and Republicans alike for the execution and the handling of this withdrawal. They say, the administration says, in essence, it was never going to be pretty. Chaos was, in some sense, inevitable when you withdraw from Afghanistan. But couldn't it have gone better than this? Haven't there been pretty egregious mistakes made here?
It certainly could have gone better. And I think we need to pull that apart and figure it out. And there's blame all the way around here, from the collapse of the Afghan military, which the U.S. military, and I count myself in that number, trained. We're not perfect intelligence. There never is. The Taliban stepped up in war. The enemy gets a vote. They perform superbly, frankly. We're going to pull all that apart, Savannah. Job one right now is to get out of this situation with all of the Americans and as many Afghans as we possibly can. The next job is going after ISIS-K, and I'm sure we're going to continue to work to get the remaining Afghan allies out. If we have to create an underground railroad to do so, we'll do it. We've got work to do in Afghanistan, but now is the time to leave tactically.
All right. Admiral Stavridis, former CIA Director Brennan, thank you very much.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Today. Future's looking bright. Are you ready? We're going to do our part to spread the word on the importance of vaccines, so crucial for reopening America.
A big day around here, a very special naturalization ceremony.
Many of them doctors, nurses, other essential workers.
If you are a nurse, thank you.
Spring has sprung, guys, and we want to fill this season with some fun and surprises.
Yes.
This is the face of excitement. Celebrating Earth Day.
Let's change the world.
Love it!
Good morning. Welcome to Today.
Start your day with us every morning. Get your daily dose of news on the go with the Today podcast. Boom. And stream Today anytime you want.
Today, all day.
Every day.
Wherever you are, Today is there. Stay connected and stream the news you need with Xfinity X5.
Our top story is unfolding right now.
The fast speed you depend on and a reliable connection for all your devices, whenever and however you watch with Xfinity X5. Stay connected and stream the news you need with Xfinity X5.
Our top story is unfolding right now.
The fast speed you depend on.
We begin with breaking news right now in Florida.
And a reliable connection for all your devices.
This story matters to all of us.
Whenever and however you watch.
Our bite-sized mix of everything you love about all 4 hours of our show, but half the calories.
Oh yes.
With Xfinity X5.
We're back with In Depth Today, and this morning, some of the Capitol police officers who came under attack on January 6th, they're now taking legal action.
7 officers filed a lawsuit Thursday against former President Trump, his allies, and members of extremist groups, saying they sent that mob of rioters to disrupt the day's peaceful transition of power.
The terrifying moments that unfolded nearly 8 months ago scarred many officers who were there. Now a lieutenant, not part of that lawsuit, who fired a fatal shot at one of the protesters, is revealing himself and sharing his story for the very first time. NBC's Lester Holt sat down with him exclusively. Hey, Lester, good morning.
Good to see both of you. His name is Lieutenant Michael Byrd. It's a name that floated around the internet following the events on January 6, leading to some vicious threats, but officials never publicly formally identified him. Now the 28-year veteran of the force is coming forward, saying he wants to set the record straight about what took place. Were you afraid that day?
I was very afraid.
Are you afraid now? Going forward?
I am afraid because I know there's people that disagree with my actions on January the 6th. But I hope they understand I did my job. And there was imminent threats and danger to the members of Congress.
In the chaotic minutes before Lieutenant Michael Byrd shot and killed rioter Ashley Babbitt, a cascade of alarming messages crackled through his police radio.
Yells for help and, officer down and screaming as they're being assaulted.
This video from inside the House chamber captures Byrd instructing members of Congress to don gas masks.
We got a disbursement of tear gas in the rotunda.
Then, instructions to prepare for the worst.
I'd ask them to remove their pins, to remove their jackets, to look like staff as much as possible, and to seek shelter by staying down below their chairs.
Soon, a horde of demonstrators stormed up the stairs to the House chamber.
There's a gun! Hey, he's got a gun! He's got a gun!
Byrd is seen taking a defensive posture with his gun drawn.
I didn't even realize I had been yelling and screaming as loud as I was. Please stop, get back, stop.
We see your arm out there for a considerable amount of time.
Yes.
Were you wavering?
I was, again, taking a tactical stance. You're ultimately hoping that your commands will be complied with, and unfortunately they were not.
What did you think this individual was doing at that moment?
She was posing a threat to the United States House of Representatives.
But an attorney for Ashley Babbitt's family disputes that. He did not respond to our request for a comment, but in a previous statement said Babbitt was not brandishing a weapon, not in close proximity to members of Congress, and was not an imminent threat of death or serious injury to anyone.
Based on your training, in that case, does it matter that the person was armed or not?
According to law, it does not. I know based on my training and my policy, what I did was appropriate.
Multiple investigations have now upheld Byrd's actions on January 6th.
Have you continued to question your actions that day?
I knew that day. I followed my training, and I spent countless years preparing for such a moment. You ultimately hope that moment never occurs, but you prepare as best you can. I know that day I saved countless lives.
If Ashley Babbitt's family is watching this, is there anything you would say to them?
What I would like to say is to all the families from January the 6th, that their family members receive injury or loss of life. As my heart goes out to them, I'm sorry for their loss and what they're dealing with. And I pray that they find peace and comfort.
Well, Lester, as you know, one of the chief criticisms of Lieutenant Byrd from the beginning has been there were other officers in similar situations that day who did not fire their weapons. What, if anything, did he say about that?
No, I asked him directly about that, and he says he can't judge their actions or their circumstances. He believes he did what was appropriate. Anecdotally, I've heard from officers who have talked about the proximity in some of those situations was just so close that the idea of withdrawing a weapon and using it didn't seem like an option. But he says they'll have to speak for themselves.
Why did he decide to sit down? What was his motivation?
He, the threats had been mounting. He felt that his story wasn't getting out. There was a narrative that was making its way around the internet, and he thought it was time to come out and talk. And we should point out that he is, there are several investigations that are part of a deadly use of force, and they have all cleared him of wrongdoing.
Let's go. This is a critical choke point for this fire.
And good evening from New Orleans. Nice to really spend some time with you. Appreciate it.
Good morning. Welcome to Today. Nice to have you with us. We wanted to surprise Ellie and make her wish come true. What do you think about coming to visit us? Yes.
There's only one thing that people are saying.
You are Stay connected and stream the news you need with Xfinity X5.
Our top story is unfolding right now.
The fast speed you depend on.
We begin with breaking news right now in Florida.
And a reliable connection for all your devices.
This story matters to all of us.
Whenever and however you watch.
Our bite-sized mix of everything you love about all 4 hours of our show, but half the calories.
Oh, yes. With Xfinity X5.
Let's go. This is a critical choke point for this fire.
And good evening from New Orleans. Nice to really spend some time with you. Appreciate it.
Today is now a podcast, available every morning. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
For breaking news in our changing world, download the NBC News app.
The Meet the Press Chuck Toddcast, free wherever you get your podcasts.
Time now for our series Second Acts. Usually we bring you stories of people making a change later in life.
Yeah, this one's a little different. 5 friends who were just getting started down the career path when they decided to switch it up a little.
Now, they're proving it's never too early to try something new. And our good buddy, NBC News Now anchor Joe Ferrer, got to sit down with them. Hey, Joe.
Hey there, good morning. Yeah, so these friends you're about to meet, they're young, and they're all pharmacists in their 20s and 30s. They've quickly become entrepreneurs, too. And they're not just dipping their toes in the water, they're making a splash, diving into the world of cactus water. That's good. On the streets of Boston and New York, far from any desert, you'll find cacti that thrive in any climate.
Picture this, Joe. You're going to your local market on a Saturday morning, and you're greeted by one of us in a cactus field. How could that not put a smile on your face?
These 5 close friends will admit it's not where they expected to be when they were training to become pharmacists, trading their white coats for green cactus costumes. But for Sarwang, Akash, Jay, Kwan, and Mo, this is exactly what it takes to promote their new product, Prickly, a brand of cactus water. For those who ask, what is cactus water? How do you answer?
We actually use the puree of the prickly pear, which is the fruit that are found on top of the cacti.
Growing up in Lebanon, it was one of Mo's favorite drinks made by his grandmother.
It tasted like a combination of watermelon and bubblegum. So believe me when I tell you, every time she made it for us, me and my siblings would fight for that last cup.
One day, he made some for his buddies.
That was sort of our cactus moment, if you will, because after just one sip, we knew we had something pretty special.
You call it your cactus moment?
Our cactus moment, that's right.
Yes.
Jay, I saw you laugh just a little bit when he described that it tastes like watermelon and bubblegum. Why is that?
Yeah, because the first time Mo brought it up, the first question you have is, cactuses have fruit? When we got over the fact that cactuses had fruit, he said it tasted like bubblegum watermelon. So we called him out on his bluff, and we lost that day. Definitely.
Yeah, they definitely did. So now they're all believers in Grandma's recipe. So
they're more than believers. They decided to start selling cactus water, launching Prickly in February, jumping into the crowded beverage market. How does this go from, this water tastes good, to let's start a business?
You know, we had a passion for helping people. We met after pharmacy school in Boston, and we just hit it off right away.
Yeah, and I think we always had this passion for entrepreneurship, and everything else fell into place.
They call it an alternative to coconut water with less sugar and fewer calories, which appeals to them as health-conscious pharmacists. They understand the science part of the company. The business part was another story. Did you actually Google how do you start a drink company?
Yes, you're already one step of the way.
Yeah.
The first
That's
step.
always the first step to any question.
It appears to have worked. They sold out of their first batch in 4 weeks, quickly went from producing 300 cases a quarter to 15,000 a month, propelled by some creative marketing, which includes donning those cactus costumes.
We're those people in the middle of Times Square dancing around in these suits and giving cans of prickly out to everybody. It's amazingly fun.
For these first-generation Americans, it's also an amazing example, inspiration for aspiring entrepreneurs.
I mean, take a look at us. We are the representation that the American dream is alive and well, because we're that textbook example of first-generation Americans whose family, sacrificed everything to give us an opportunity that they didn't have.
The lesson, they say, be resilient, just like a cactus.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Today. Future's looking bright. Are you ready? We're going to do our part to spread the word on the importance of vaccines, so crucial for reopening America.
A big day around here. A very special naturalization ceremony.
Many of them doctors, nurses, other essential workers.
If you are a nurse, thank you.
Spring has sprung, guys, and we want to fill this season with some fun and surprises.
Yes.
This is the face of excitement. Celebrating Earth Day. Let's change the world. Love it!
Let's go. And good evening from New Orleans. There is breaking news. There you go.
It has been a long year. Yeah, where it's been anything but normal.
Well, now there's hope. The COVID vaccines.
I know. It's been a little confusing.
Like really confusing. So it's more important than ever to make a plan. Visit planyourvaccine.com
to find out where and when to get your vaccine.
What are you waiting for?
Roll up your sleeves and plan your vaccine.
Plan your vaccine.
Plan your vaccine.
Good morning. Welcome to Today.
Start your day with us every morning. Get your daily dose of news on the go with the Today podcast. And stream Today anytime you want.
Today, all day.
Every day.
Wherever you are, Today is there.
As the saying goes, you are what you eat, and if you eat better, you feel better, which just so happens to be the name of the new cookbook by our friend Giada De Laurentiis. She stopped by recently to share her famous lemon chicken recipe that is part of her 3-day diet reboot to get your body back on track. Check it out. Hi, Giada. Okay, so a 3-day reboot is something I feel like I could do every Monday.
Yes.
You know, when you've overdone the takeout. But you say it's not really a detox, it's just to make you feel better.
No, because I think that when you think of a detox, you think of just like drinking smoothies or just having pure, just liquids,
Soup.
really.
Yeah.
This is an actual meal. I mean, this is on the reboot right here. We have a Mafi lemon chicken, and we have a salad of bitter greens. So bitter greens just meaning things that are vegetables that have more of a bitter flavor to them are actually more detoxifying for the body. So here it's arugula, endive, and radicchio. So all things that you usually have and usually see in a regular Italian mixed salad.
You know what's
they
funny?
usually put those in there.
This book is interesting because I didn't expect this book from you. Because I look at you, Giada, and I think she's healthy, she's got everything together. But there was actually something that triggered you to say, you know what, I actually need to step up my game a little.
I know. And you know what, Hoda? I think a lot of people have this misconception that if you are thin, then you're probably healthy. But that doesn't always go hand in hand, as we've now learned. And so I think for me, my issues were more, I had horrible, horrible sinus infections, like the kind where you're on antibiotics regularly. I never got off antibiotics for almost 2 years. And most of this started happening after I had Jade. So I was already in my late 30s. I traveled a ton. I worked a ton. And a lot of times people tell you, well, when you have children in preschool or young children, you tend to pick up a lot of stuff from them. But really, I started realizing I had not taken care of myself the way I should have for an extended amount of time. And I was just getting older, and it just I wasn't able to rebound. So I got sick a lot. And as I did that, it's this vicious cycle of being on antibiotics, which kind of breaks down your digestive system and your gut. And your gut at the end of the day rules your body. So once that was broken, it was a horrible cycle. And I kept trying to feed myself caffeine and sugar to keep my energy levels up just so I could get through the day. And it would just destroy me. I mean, to the point where I couldn't, I'd have to take breaks from shooting, go home and take several days off because I couldn't even take a look at, I couldn't be in the sunlight. My eyes hurt so much from the pressure.
Yeah, I think that this is a really smart, Hoda and I were talking about really being conscious of everything we put in our body. And let's start with this dish. Tell us about this lemon chicken.
So this is a Mafi lemon chicken. The whole idea here is to limit as much as possible your processed foods. And when I say processed foods, I even mean things like pasta and chicken broth, all the convenience foods that we end up buying to make our lives a lot easier. We got to really start to think about limiting them, at least for the 3 days, and cut out dairy, alcohol, caffeine if possible. If not, you can have an herbal, you can have a caffeinated tea. Yeah,
you should have seen our look when we said caffeine.
Yeah, we'll try. I know, and that's hard for me too. So I do have an espresso in the morning, but that's all I have. And no sugar, stuff like that. So this is just chicken, and you can do a whole chicken and have the butcher take out the backbone and the breastbone, or you can just buy pieces of chicken, whatever you like. I have thighs and breasts here, skin on, rib on, because it'll have more flavor. And I season the chicken with rosemary, thyme, lemon zest, and salt. That's it.
How long
do
you cook that, Giada? We're kind of tight on time.
But I'm going to tell you something.
Yeah.
You're going to cook it for 40 minutes, but you take the lemons that you zested, then you slice them like this. And then, as you can see, what I'm going to show you here is that you basically bake the chicken on top of the lemon.
Brilliant. Wow.
So it has so much more flavor.
That's a great idea.
When you're done.
And how long do you cook that, Giada?
About 40 to 45 minutes, depending on the thickness of the chicken.
And it turns out like that?
And it turns out,
look how gorgeous that is.
After you put it in, it turns out like the dish that was in front of us, but this is really what it looks like when it comes out of the baking sheet.
Beautiful.
See how it caramelizes the lemons?
I want it. I want it right now.
Well, we hope you're back with us for another big morning next week here on Today.
We do. We've got Padma Lakshmi. She'll be here. And we're also going to be treated to a concert by Keith Urban.
It's going to be a big week.
Yeah.
Have a great weekend.
Bye.
Hey guys, Willie Geist here. Hope you're enjoying Today All Day. One of my favorite parts of hosting Sunday Today every week is the opportunity to sit down with some of the biggest stars in the world and spend a bunch of time with them to dig through their life and career. So now I want you to enjoy some of our very favorites from the last few months. That is Will Arnett playing the hilariously buffoonish magician Job Bluth on the beloved series Arrested Development. Arnett had been bouncing around New York and Los Angeles for more than a decade, doing mostly dramatic work when he landed that role, which put him on a path to comedy stardom. The classically trained Canadian actor, who shares 2 sons with ex-wife Amy Poehler and became a father again last year, has gone on to make audiences laugh in movies, with Emmy-nominated TV roles, as the voice of animated characters in ubiquitous TV commercials, and on a hit podcast he hosts with a couple of buddies, one of them a co-star from Arrested Development. Will and I got together over Zoom the other day to talk about all of it in a virtual Sunday sit-down. Like many parents these days, Will Arnett is just trying to find a quiet place to work from home. I understand you got a very busy house.
I mean, there's a chance that door behind me at any point could burst open and somebody's gonna come in with, so-and-so did this, so-and-so wrecked that, I cut my arm off.
The 51-year-old father of 4 boys escaped the chaos long enough to host a new season of the reality competition show Lego Masters.
Good luck and get your brick on. Our show is very lighthearted, and it's a show that really celebrates people who are into Lego and who are Lego builders or who are aspiring Lego builders. There's a whole community out there, Willie, that not a lot of people know about. We're not a gotcha show. We're not a reality show where we get people all, boozed up and then watch them cry or fight with each other. Ultimately, I also want to wreck their builds at the end of the day.
A childhood fan of Lego, Arnett has become something of an ambassador, thanks to his role as the gravelly voice of Lego Batman in the run of blockbuster Lego movies.
I'm Batman. I couldn't have imagined as a kid that later on as an adult, I would have this connection to Lego, make all these movies, all the while having my own kids, young kids at that same time on this totally different track, being really into Lego and building, and then now doing Lego Masters. It's all very surreal, to be honest. I'm still just a Lego fan and dad of kids who love Lego.
I think we have to point it out. You say Lego, not Legos, which I only learned recently.
That's right. The plural of Lego is Lego.
Wow. Okay.
I don't like to shame people if they say Legos, because we all learn it at a certain point. And we've all used the term Legos. It's probably the only area of my life where I don't correct people. I don't know why.
When he isn't building or bashing Lego, Arnett is co-hosting the popular podcast Smartless, launched last year with his friends and fellow actors Jason Bateman and Sean Hayes. Smartless. Really the heart of the show, it's just the 3 of you giving each other crap. How much fun has that been?
It's been so much fun. I was going to do a podcast and I told Jason, and then he called me like 2 days later and he said, I just had dinner with Sean, told him that you're starting a podcast, and then we agreed that we should do it with you. And I was like, wait, what? So he was like, yeah, so we're the 3 of us are doing a podcast now. You're not going to take your hat off because today your hair is a mess. Oh, I love those guys so much. It's unbelievable. Sometimes when I go into the booth and start doing the show, that's a break from the insanity that's kind of going on around me. And that's my chance to have something to eat, talk to my buddies.
I was texting with Jason today. He wanted to know if you could slide your meal window into a spot in your day when it doesn't conflict with the podcast so that you're not eating an Italian sub when you ask your questions.
You're a real loose cannon. You know
I
that,
can't
baby?
understand what you're saying. Put the food down. You always have food in your hands.
So real from him. By the way, here's the best part. It's not just a burn, Willie, but he actually means it.
Born and raised in Toronto, Arnett moved to New York to pursue acting in 1990.
I had a pretty normal childhood in so many ways. It was not traumatic. I have great parents. I still talk to them a lot. Do I want to find the person who taught my mom how to text? Yeah, I want to find them. Are we at a ratio of 30-to-1 text in her favor? Yeah, we are.
She using the emojis yet, or is it just all caps firing off at you?
I mean, she's been drunk on emojis for years.
Arnett landed bit parts on Sex and the City and The Sopranos. But his breakthrough came in 2003 on the cult hit series Arrested Development, where, co-starring with Bateman, he played part-time magician Job Bluth in a hysterical performance that earned him an Emmy nomination.
I've made a huge mistake. Is that gratifying to understand and to hear the sort of staying power of this show you did, 18 years ago?
Yeah. It is. It's really gratifying. I kind of landed backwards in comedy. I think one of the great things is that it's not too zeitgeisty. So the jokes, they're still relevant because they're about these people and about these characters, not about what's going on in that moment in time. It's just timeless, really, in that way.
Arnett had other memorable roles on comedy hits like The Millers and 30 Rock, all while becoming one of the most sought-after voice actors in Hollywood and in advertising.
Make the most of every moment. Are you drooling? Good.
In addition to deploying his pipes to sell candy in trucks, Arnett was the lead voice for 6 seasons on the acclaimed offbeat animated Netflix comedy Bojack Horseman.
Normal childhood, and then just get right into the being famous part.
You have a guy who's spiritually and morally bankrupt, even though he's at the top of his game, and how incredibly sad and hollow he feels and bitter, and how aware he is of where he's at, too. It just, yeah, really extraordinary.
Nailed it.
Were you born with the voice like this? Did you train your voice?
Like most things in my life, Willie, just kind of happened. My dad's got quite a deep voice, and he always claims that if anything happens to me, that he's just going to take over, which I think is rude. First of all, he's 83, A, and B, why are you thinking about something happening to me? What's your problem, dude?
I like the presumption that you're going first, and he's going to pick up the work.
Again, yeah. Well, I come from a family of optimists. I will say that. I'm a total optimist. I always just believe that things are going to work out, and they usually do. I think in life, there's enough sort of negative stuff out there. You might as well focus on what's working.
Dad waiting in the wings. Tough business. Lego Masters airs Tuesday nights at 8, 7 Central on Fox. And you can listen to Will conducting interviews with his mouth full on Smartless, wherever you get your podcasts. Don't forget to subscribe to our Sunday Sit Down podcast to hear the full-length interview with Will Arnett, featuring some great trash talk about Jason Bateman. You can find it on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get yours.
Make the most of your day with
Today in 30. We give you a mix of everything you love about our show in a mere 30 minutes.
Savannah and Hoda bring you what you must know. The biggest moments of the morning.
One Republic!
Exclusive interviews.
Why did it work for you?
You're right. I am more talented than the rest.
And important headlines.
Major medical news this morning.
Watch Today in 30 on your schedule. Streaming every day on Today All Day.
Today is now a podcast. Available every morning. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
Good morning. Welcome to Today. Nice to have you with us. We wanted to surprise Ellie and make her wish come true. What do you think about coming to visit us? Yes.
There's only one thing that people are saying.
You are.
Let's go. And good evening from New Orleans. There is breaking news. There you go.
Some experts say that this bill still isn't enough. Do you accept that criticism? There's been a ton of confusion from the CDC. Can we try to clear some of this up? Is America safer today with the Taliban in charge of Afghanistan? If it's Sunday, it's Meet the Press.
For breaking news in our changing world, download the NBC News app.
The Meet the Press Chuck Todd Cast, free wherever you get your podcasts.
Maybe in some ways
It would have been better if Juneteenth had stayed one of those things that only black people know about, you know? Like Carmichael cross trainers or DJ Amaretto or whiskey cups. Don't worry, black people. I was just making a bunch of those things up to throw white people off the trail. You guys go celebrate Juneteenth while they're figuring this all out. Go now, go now. Yeah, those whiskey cups.
That is Trevor Noah hosting The Daily Show this week from home. Noah was virtually unknown to American audiences when he inherited that seat from Jon Stewart in September of 2015. Since then, the South African comedian has made the nightly topical show his own, even while hosting this year from a corner of his New York City apartment. As Noah and his Daily Show team consider when to move back into the studio, Noah announced this week he will return to the road this fall for a stand-up comedy tour. Meanwhile, his 2016 memoir, Born a Crime, remains a phenomenon. This morning, it sits at number 3 on the New York Times nonfiction paperback bestsellers list, nearly 5 years after its release, with a movie version on the way. Trevor and I got together on a steamy New York City day for a Sunday sit-down in the park just across the street from his Daily Show studio.
This literally feels like a different life.
Yeah.
I feel like you're interviewing me post the Daily Show right now.
Yeah.
You know?
Even with the worst of the pandemic behind us, hopefully, Trevor Noah is not quite ready to give up his new, much shorter commute. But there are signs of a return to pre-pandemic life all around him. You demanded, it was in a note that you wrote, hand wrote.
Yes.
I have to be in front of a billboard of myself.
Well, what I like is to have a billboard to remind me that I did have some semblance of a professional job before the pandemic. So I like to have that as a reminder for myself.
From Trevor's couch in New York City to your couch somewhere in the world.
Like many of us, Noah has been working from home for more than a year.
Right now, we don't know when we're going to go back to the studio.
Broadcasting The Daily Show alone in his apartment.
We are friends now.
It's the weekend, baby!
Imagine all the people.
Imagine you shut the up!
And trading his suit and tie for something more comfortable.
I feel like I owe you, the viewers of The Daily Show, an explanation. I'm referring, of course, to my hoodies.
There's hoodies in every nook and cranny of my cupboard. There's just hoodies everywhere.
Showing up.
Everywhere. But in many ways, the hoodie has become, you know, the uniform that I don for this period of time. It's become, you know, It's become my little safety blanket. It's how I've created a sense of normalcy in a world that is completely abnormal right now.
How do you adjust that doing a late night comedy show where you're in a little nook in your apartment?
I adjust it because I have to. I found as a performer, I had to find a different gear, a different conversation that I would be having with an audience. I think of one person, think of one set of eyes, one almost like collective idea of a human being who watches my show. And it's almost the imprint from all the people who came to the studio.
Yeah.
And I go, okay, that person is here now. I'm talking to them. What would I like to say to them?
Now, please remember, guys, while some of us are stressing at home about what show to binge next on Netflix, hospitals have a real issue on their hands.
When you and I talked, I think it was about 3 years ago,
Yeah.
we were in that studio and you said...
Because at the end of the day, if The Daily Show is not funny and entertaining, then I don't think I'm doing my job.
So how do you navigate those heavy issues and those heavy moments in our society and still be funny about it in the way you've been for the last year and change?
I ask myself what the purpose of that funny is. And I think that's something that during the pandemic, I've really crystallized in myself as a human being. I use humor as a coping mechanism, as a pressure release valve. And so what I'm really trying to do now is say to an audience, tune into my show. If you would like to be kept abreast of what's happening in the world, and if you don't want to feel like it's all doom and gloom, because I don't believe it is.
But Noah knows comedy is not a cure-all. Last spring, with the country rising up in the wake of George Floyd's murder, and with The Daily Show on hiatus,
Hey, what's going on, everybody?
Noah took to social media to express his thoughts on racism in America.
What's really interesting about what's happening in America right now is that a lot of people don't seem to realize how dominoes connect. When George Floyd was murdered, I was actually grateful for the fact that I wasn't on air, because I now didn't have to react to what was happening, but I could observe. I could listen to people. I could see what was happening, and I didn't have to immediately say something about it or even feel like I had to say something about it. One ray of sunshine for me in that moment was seeing how many people instantly condemned what they saw. I'm not trying to even find the funny. I'm trying to find the honesty. I think in many ways we've become a society that's good at shouting, and I don't think people shouldn't have opinions, but man, we should get better at having conversations about those opinions.
Joe Biden is so lucky. All he has to do is have a vaccine plan and not lie for 10 minutes. And he's basically what, the next George Washington?
In a new administration, Noah now dedicates less of the show to the president's daily tweets and more to topics like climate change, gender discrimination, and recent violence against Asian Americans.
Biden delivered on one thing that he promised on, and that was he's going to be the president that nobody wants to talk about.
Right.
That's been great, because now we get to delve into issues that affect everybody. There are still people who are struggling. That will always happen from administration to administration. So I think it goes beyond politics.
There was one man who came up to me after a show, really concerned. He was like, Trevor, hey, when Donald Trump says all these horribly racist things, do you sometimes just want to, pack it up, leave America, go back to South Africa and escape all this racism?
Born in apartheid South Africa to a black mother and a white father, Noah's complicated childhood often is the subject of his stand-up comedy and of his wildly popular memoir, Born a Crime. Now the bestseller is getting the Hollywood treatment, with help from Noah's production company and a cast that includes Oscar winner Lupita Nyong'o.
Your mother must be pleased that Lupita's playing her.
What's interesting, so my mom doesn't care for celebrity at all. And so I'm like, someone's going to be acting you. And she goes, who? And I go like, oh, Lupita Nyong'o. And she's like, who's that? I'm like, okay, I'm going to send you a picture, and this is her. And she's like, oh, okay, no, I'm very happy. I'm very happy. I'm happy that it's an African woman because I'm an African woman. And I was like, did you think I was going to ask Julia Roberts to play you? Like, what? But my mom is just like, man, she's just simple and living her life. It's like getting used to a thing again.
To hear a group of people responding to your jokes.
That would be interesting to feel.
The Daily Show has not yet announced plans to return to the studio, but Noah will reconnect with fans in a multi-city stand-up tour this fall.
You got it? You got it?
If not before.
Who's not in? If you can't see the camera, it can't see you. Well, how many times have we taken for granted a space where hundreds or even thousands of people can come together for the purpose of laughing, Willie? Man, I didn't appreciate it as much as I do now.
Trevor's Back to Abnormal stand-up tour kicks off in Santa Barbara, California in September. Tickets are on sale now. The Daily Show is on hiatus for the summer and returns to Comedy Central in the fall with new episodes and perhaps that studio audience. Don't forget to subscribe to the Sunday Sit Down podcast to hear the full-length interview with Trevor Noah. You can find it on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get yours.
Make the most of your day with
Today in 30.
We give you a mix of everything you love about our show
in a mere 30 minutes.
Watch Today in 30 on your schedule, streaming every day on Today All Day.
Let's go. And good evening from New Orleans. There is breaking news. There you go.
Make the most of your day with
Today in 30.
We give you a mix of everything you love about our show
in a mere 30 minutes.
Watch Today in 30 on your schedule, streaming every day on Today All Day.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Today. Future's looking bright. Are you ready? We're going to do our part to spread the word on the importance of vaccines, so crucial for reopening America.
A big day around here, a very special naturalization ceremony.
Many of them doctors, nurses, other essential workers.
If you are a nurse, thank you.
Spring has sprung, guys, and we want to fill this season with some fun and surprises.
Yes.
This is the face of excitement. Celebrating Earth Day.
Let's change the world.
Love it!
Stay connected and stream the news you need with Xfinity X5.
Our top story is unfolding right now.
The fast speed you depend on.
We begin with breaking news right now in Florida.
And a reliable connection for all your devices.
This story matters to all of us.
Whenever and however you watch.
Our bite-sized mix of everything you love about all 4 hours of our show, but half the calories.
Oh, yes. With Xfinity X5.
Sometimes the news can be difficult and overwhelming for kids to understand.
Will coronavirus come back next year?
So to help make sense of it all, we've created a newscast just for them. Man, you know a lot. We hope your family will watch Nightly News Kids Edition.
The day she met me at the door, said I would have to choose.
That is country superstar Brad Paisley in the video for his 2002 song, I'm Gonna Miss Her, starring actress Kimberly Williams. The two were married the next year and recently celebrated their 18th anniversary. Paisley started his career in Nashville as a songwriter, landing his first hit 25 years ago, well before the world knew his name. Since then, the 48-year-old West Virginia native has become one of the most popular artists in all of music, while rolling out platinum albums, selling out arenas, hosting the CMA Awards with Carrie Underwood, and appearing in those insurance commercials with Peyton Manning. Now, Paisley is ready to get back out on the road, beginning with a big 4th of July show tonight in Music City. Brad and I got together this week for a Sunday sit-down at the historic Ryman Auditorium in Nashville.
Just by singing the blues in the city of music.
Welcome to Nashville. Thank you. It's good to be back.
During a year away from the stage, Brad Paisley has been thinking and writing about this famous city where his country music dream came true.
City of Music, new single telling the story of this town and rolling in here with the guitar and the dream like you did.
Well, I wrote that with Lee Miller and Ross Copperman on Zoom. We were never in the same room during the writing
Really?
of it. The nightlife that's happening right through that wall and the crazy sort of amazing mecca that this is, this destination for pilgrims, you know. I really wanted to celebrate it, and I wanted it to musically feel the way that feels.
That celebration continues tonight when Paisley headlines a massive 4th of July celebration in downtown Nashville.
I think when you take something away for a year and a half, and you know, you could basically go down there. They could do a local community theater production of Yankee Doodle Dandy, and they'd have 300,000 people, I think.
But this is going to be a special day on the 4th of July for you to sort of say, we're back, music's back, Nashville is back.
We were going to play last year, and I'll never forget in March when all hell broke loose, and they pulled the rug out from all of us and said, no tours, let's all stay home. And I remember saying, this is great. Well, a couple of months, you know, we'll be back in June. Here we are, you know, finally. Country music was hit. It was hit hard. We lost Charlie Pride. We lost John Prine. During this disease, we lost Charlie Daniels. It's hard to properly process and mourn. This is so amazing to have the miracle of somehow getting the virus under control in this country. We're able to kind of get back together.
With the tour bus parked during the pandemic, Paisley was at home outside of Nashville with his wife, actor Kimberly Williams Paisley, and their 2 boys.
I've never spent a summer largely home with my kids, and what a great time in their lives to do that.
You and Kimberly found new ways to enjoy each other's company?
Yeah, I actually like her. I was forced to confront. So
I like to think you knew that a long time ago. But
I knew that.
Yeah.
I don't know if she's still sure yet, but no, it's great. We had a pretty good time. I got to know fans better because of Zoom. I know what pajamas my fans wear. I know, you know what I mean? I know what artwork they prefer in their homes and what kind of mounted animals they have on the wall. It's awesome. I mean, got to know them better than I think I ever did in a meet and greet.
Let's go. And good evening from New Orleans. There is breaking news. There you go.
Stay connected connected and stream the news you need with Xfinity X5.
Our top story is unfolding right now.
The fast speed you depend on and a reliable connection for all your devices, whenever and however you watch with Xfinity X5.
Some experts say that this bill still isn't enough. You accept that criticism? There's been a ton of confusion from the CDC. Can we try to clear some of this up? Is America safer today with the Taliban in charge of Afghanistan?
If it's Sunday, it's Meet the Press.
Sometimes the news can be difficult and overwhelming for kids to understand.
Will coronavirus come back next year?
So to help make sense of it all, we've created a newscast just for them. Man, you know a lot. We hope your family will watch Nightly News Kids Edition.
Stay connected and stream the news you need with Xfinity X5.
Our top story is unfolding right now.
The fast speed you depend on and a reliable connection for all your devices, whenever and however you watch with Xfinity X5. Make the most of your day with
Today in 30.
We give you a mix of everything you love about our show
in a mere 30 minutes.
Watch Today in 30 on your schedule, streaming every day on Today All Day.
Paisley was just 7 years old when he first picked up a guitar in his hometown of Glendale, West Virginia. The young local star becoming a fixture on the show Wheeling Jamboree.
Sitting on the front porch, rain is pouring down.
Were you always going to end up in Nashville?
I think so. Worst case scenario, I could probably play guitar for somebody. Second best would be like guitar, write songs, maybe do some session work. I'm so far beyond what I would have settled for, but don't tell anybody. I'll never forget my dad met me out in the garage and packed everything up for school. And I was going, and he came home from work. He had his aviator sunglasses on, his mustache was much thinner. And he goes to say, "Make me proud," and he couldn't make a noise. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'll never forget it. And I cried all the way to Columbus, Ohio, on the way here. And once I got here, there's never been one night in this town where I didn't feel like home.
After graduating from Nashville's Belmont University in 1995, Paisley began a career writing music for other artists, landing a hit with the song Another You by country singer David Kirsch.
I'll have another chance, I'll find another girl.
But it did not take long for Paisley to move front and center. He released his debut album in 1999, featuring the #1 single, He Didn't Have to Be.
All of a sudden, oh, it seems so strange to me.
I learned something early on. I'm successful because of the songs I sang, you know? My charisma is limited.
Come on now.
I'm telling you, I'm putting on an act, and I have pulled the wool over everybody's eyes long enough.
Clearly, the act is working. Over 12 studio albums, Paisley has won 3 Grammys, 14 Country Music Association awards, and scored 24 #1 hits. Of all the honors across 25 years in Nashville, though, none is more special to Paisley than performing at country music's holiest site.
Where we're sitting right now, I mean, it is the Mother Church. For people who haven't been, why is it so special?
Well, it goes all the way back to sort of the birth of what country music is. You know, the Opry started really just as a radio show, and then they needed a venue. This became the first sort of real home. And the building also goes all the way back to the 1800s, and this was a church.
Playing to the pews and the stained glass windows that have seen all of the greats in the city of music.
You get a feeling that you are carrying a lot on your shoulders being on this stage. Like, if you're gonna mess up, don't mess up here.
Does that feel like pressure when you step out here?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Venues matter. I mean, these were taken away for a year and a half from all of us. And you forget something about being in the air of a place that was missing. It's the first time I've been in this room since we wrote the words, which are "Sing it for the ghosts that came before you, and play till your fingers hurt. play something that'll ring out after in the rafters of the Mother Church. Here we are.
It's alright.
Let's not take this for granted anymore.
It's the city of music.
Hi, Today All Day. We have a great show for you on this Friday morning. Let's kick it off with Pop Start, calling all royal fans. The official trailer for the upcoming film Spencer has finally dropped, and Carson gives us a first look at Kristen Stewart as Princess Diana.
Test time of the day.
Hey.
Pop Start.
Lots to get to in Pop Start today, guys. Good morning. Kristen Stewart's going to be first up here. We got our first look at her as Princess Diana in the new film Spencer back in January. Fans amazed by that transformation. And then this week, we're being treated to the film's dramatic first official poster, getting people even more excited. Well, now there's finally a trailer as well, set to the cover of Lou Reed's Perfect Day. We do get a glimpse of what to expect from the movie, which is set over the course of the royals' Christmas weekend in the early 90s.
They know everything. They don't.
Give her the Oscar.
Okay.
Give her the
I
Oscar.
predict
Looks pretty good.
a hit. Yes.
Looks good. Looks
Yeah,
very
real
90s,
good.
too.
Yeah.
Cool. Spencer hits theaters on November 5th.
Coming up next on Today Talks, everything you need to know about catching those Z's for a good night's rest after this.
Some experts say that this bill still isn't enough. You accept that criticism? There's been a ton of confusion from the CDC. Can we try to clear some of this up? Is America safer today with the Taliban in charge of Afghanistan?
If it's Sunday, it's Meet the Press.
Make the most of your day with
Today in 30.
We give you a mix of everything you love about our show
in a mere 30 minutes.
Watch Today in 30 on your schedule. Streaming every day on Today All Day.
Let's go.
And good evening from New Orleans. There is breaking news. There you go.
Let's go. This is a critical choke point for this fire.
And good evening from New Orleans.
Nice to really spend some time with you. Appreciate it.
Good morning. Welcome to Today.
Start your day with us every morning. Get your daily dose of news on the go with the Today podcast. And stream Today anytime you want.
Today, all day.
Every day.
Wherever you are, Today is there.
Welcome back. Today on the third hour, all the tips and tricks you need to know so you can sleep tight all the way to the morning light. Do you like that? Check it out.
The kids are heading back to school, which means we're all adjusting to these new routines. We were just talking about this.
Yeah, and those big changes could really mess with our sleep. So we called in our guy, clinical psychologist, Dr. Michael Bruce, to help us out. Dr. Bruce, always good to have you, sir. Here's the thing. You've said before that this pandemic has been absolutely terrible in terms of people's sleep habits. Mm-hmm. We know that to be true firsthand. Why is it so important to get a good night's sleep, and how many hours should we be getting?
So great questions, Craig. And first of all, I love the white coats. I feel like I'm at a doctor's
Yeah,
conference.
these guys, and it was planned. They talked about it yesterday.
I think they must have.
Friday.
So when we talk about sleep and the importance of sleep, the biggest thing to remember is sleep affects every organ system and every disease state. Literally everything you do better with a good night's sleep. And unfortunately, with the pandemic and quarantine and people in lockdown, our schedules have gotten so thrown off, and it's really having an effect on our overall quantity of sleep as well as the quality of our sleep.
Hey, Doc, so we here at the Today Show, each of us has a set time for sleep. I think I'm a little in better shape for that because I've got a 19-year-old home, and he takes care of his own sleep. But these guys have smaller kids. Yeah. We're supposed to get a set time of sleep, our own set time, but what about getting their kids to sleep as well?
So that's always difficult depending upon the the age of the child. To be honest with you, I have a 17-year-old and a 19-year-old who just started to attend college. And let me tell you something, teenagers are the toughest to get to sleep because all they want to do is stay up late and sleep late. So as your child is younger, you want them to have more and more sleep. So toddlers, you're looking at 12, maybe 13 hours. Middle schoolers, you're looking at like 11 to 12 hours. Teenagers, if you can get them to get 10 hours, you'd be in great shape. And as adults, we're looking at somewhere between 7 and 9 hours of sleep per night.
So can you give us some tips to make sure we get meaningful rest? I was just saying it's one thing to get 6 hours, 7 hours, but if you're tossing and turning or you're not, fully at peace, you're wrestling around at night. Do you know what I mean?
I know exactly what you're talking about. Believe it or not, the easiest way to improve sleep quality is to wake up at the same time every single morning, including the weekends. I know a lot of people are like, Michael, I want to sleep in. Yeah. No. Keeping that steady circadian rhythm really works well. I know I've worked with both Al and Craig in the past talking about that, and they're really good at making sure that they get up at the right time every day. That's definitely one thing. Another big thing is to stop caffeine by 2 p.m. Many people don't realize it, but caffeine can last in your system for quite a long time. The half-life is 8 hours. So if you stop at 2, 50% is still in your system at 10 o'clock at night. I mean, think about that, right? Yeah. And so really looking at the caffeine consumption is a big one. And then unfortunately, alcohol is a really big problem. Yeah. While alcohol makes us feel sleepy, believe it or not, it's the #1 sleep aid in the world. It is terrible for sleep quality, really lowering that sleep quality quite a bit.
Yeah, margaritas are just, they don't help. I know this. Doctor, I have a question for you, though. A lot of people talk about exercise before sleep, but I'd like to know what exercises are good to sort of get you to have a good night's sleep, but also what time should you exercise?
This is a perfect question. I'm so glad that you asked this. So exercise is the single best way to improve sleep quality. However, if you exercise too close to bedtime, you increase your core body temperature. And remember, our core body temperature needs to go down as we're trying to fall asleep. So give yourself about 4 hours to have completed your workout if you possibly can. I wouldn't say skip your workout, but really try not to have it too close to bedtime because it's gonna mess up your sleep.
But if you want to say skip the workout, we won't argue.
Dr. Bruce, just really quickly, how many hours of sleep do you recommend folks get?
So as an adult, we're looking at probably somewhere between 7 and 9 hours of sleep at night. But the truth of the matter is that you need to look for the right amount of sleep for you, right? So all over the world, some of you guys need only 6, some of you guys may need 9. Depending upon where you are in your lives, it can be very interesting to look at that. A few other things that people can do, consider changing your pillow. Lots of people don't realize it, but you should be changing your pillow about every 18 to 36 months because it's really not giving you the support that you're probably going to need. And my big thing is monitor your sleep. I use a ring to monitor my sleep called the Aura, but there are many different monitors out there. And let me tell you something, when you get data on your sleep, then you can do something actionable about it, like be able to try to improve the quality or change the quantity or know when you're going to get up.
Dr.
Good
Bruce,
advice.
always great tips, sir. Yeah. Thank you, Dr. Bruce. Have a great weekend. By the way, we should mention Dr. Bruce's new book, Energize. It is available for pre-order now.
Coming up next on Today Talks, Calling All Foodies, Hoda and Jenna are serving up some of their favorite chefs after this.
Good morning. Welcome to Today. Nice to have you with us. We wanted to surprise Ellie and make her wish come true. What do you think about coming to visit us? Yes.
There's only one thing that people are saying.
You are.
Look at that.
Let's go. This is a critical choke point for this fire.
And good evening from New Orleans. Nice to really spend some time with you. Appreciate
it. Some experts say that this bill still isn't enough. Do you accept that criticism? There's been a ton of confusion from the CDC. Can we try to clear some of this up? Is America safer today with the Taliban in charge of Afghanistan?
If it's Sunday, it's Meet the Press.
Stay connected and stream the news you need with Xfinity X5.
Our top story is unfolding right now.
The fast speed you depend on.
We begin with breaking news right now in Florida.
And a reliable connection for all your devices.
This story matters to all of us.
Whenever and however you watch.
Our bite-sized mix of everything you love about all 4 hours of our show, but half the calories.
Oh, yes. With Xfinity X5. Make the most of your day with Today All Day. Get closer to all your friends at Today in a whole new way.
Today in 30.
We give you a mix of everything you love about our show
in a mere 30 minutes.
Shop today with Jill Martin.
We're helping you shop like never before.
The latest styles and biggest names. Today Food.
Things are heating up in the Today All Day kitchen.
Cooking essentials and recipe inspiration.
Get ready. Are you ready?
Oh, I'm so ready.
Only on Today All Day.
Welcome back today on Hoda and Jenna. It's Friday, and today there's no such thing as too many cooks in the kitchen because Hoda and Jenna are serving up their best of food show. Bon appetit.
When I look at either at those or on TikTok or whatever, people are so talented.
I love that you're looking at TikTok.
Because we are total junkies.
We love TikTok.
All right.
Keep those videos coming to hodaandjenna.com.
All right. Today is going to be a fun show because it's all about food. We're going to kick off with a little food for thought, okay? So.
And everybody go along with us. What is your favorite meal?
My favorite meal. My favorite meal is Joel's salmon that he grills outside. It is so amazing. You've never tasted anything like that. I want waffle fries with that, with lots of ketchup, but cooked crunchy, like crunch into it. Yeah, yes.
I like how
like that. And then my mom's baklava. I think that would be my perfect meal.
Perfect meal.
What about yours?
Mine involves beans and cheese.
Yes, you love beans
I
and
love
cheese.
like a bean burrito with
heavy.
Heavy bean, just a big bean burrito.
Chunky.
With some chunky guacamole and some queso. Mexican food is mine for sure.
That's a good one.
And favorite childhood food, that was it. I ate beans and rice. Like we would
When
go
you
to
were a kid?
Mexican restaurants, we'd eat beans and rice and cut up tomatoes.
Did you ever, I used to think one of the best things was white bread. This is what white bread, mayo or Miracle Whip, and bologna. Bologna, wait. No. And then you know what else we did? Wait. We smashed it flat because there was something about having a smashed flat sandwich. And then sometimes dill pickles inside for the crunch.
Well, the dill pickle I like. I'm not a mayonnaise person. I like it more in my older age, but as a little kid, I really hated it. And my mom loved it. She would dip her chicken in mayonnaise.
I like mayonnaise with ketchup and mustard mixed
all
up.
together. Well, that's true. If you hide the mayonnaise, I'll eat it. Okay, food you absolutely detest.
Liver. Disgusting.
Yeah, I agree.
My parents used to make us eat it because of protein or iron. And I still remember the Heinz ketchup jar. There's not enough Heinz ketchup in the world.
To hide that.
You know what it is? It's the mealiness of the liver. Okay, what's your least favorite?
No, I mean, luckily my parents didn't make me eat it.
They didn't?
No, my mom does love it though.
What's your least
I
favorite?
would say,
Makes you gag.
Anchovies.
You don't like salt?
No. I like salt. You don't have to throw salt under the bus just because of the anchovies. I don't like the fishy.
The fishy, okay. All right.
Do you like anchovies?
No, I don't like anything salty. I'm not a big salt person.
That is not
Well, mine is
true.
chips and Fritos.
You love chips.
No, but I'm talking about like super salt. Like I can't dig super salty.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, I agree.
What is the snack that you could eat every single day and not get tired of it?
Cheese and crackers.
Oh, that's good.
I have a cheese addiction. What about you?
You know what I'm thinking about right now, even though I don't know why? Do you remember those fudge stripes? The cookies with the fudge stripes? And you dunk those in the milk before it falls apart?
Yes.
And you catch it while it's about to crumble.
See, I never
and it's
could get it.
soaked with milk. And
That was your favorite? Could you eat it every day?
Anytime.
Well, speaking of snacking, Jennifer Aniston just revealed something that she is the true master of self-control, okay?
I can't even read this.
No, this
You'd
is hard
have
to say.
continue.
This is hard for the two of us, but I'll do it. She told in style that when she's stressed, she'll eat one chip. One. Just one. Or one M&M. And that's enough to satisfy her craving. So ready? She'll just go.
First of all, when I bite the first one, I'm thinking about the next one. I'm never just.
But I'm not. I don't know. I'm going to call this a Jennifer Aniston effect because she's sitting over our shoulder like that, looking all stern. I'm not going to have more than one. You're going to have more than one.
Look, I don't know about the one chip, but here's the thing. Nobody's eating chips it's about the process. It's not one.
Yeah, but I do think, and she's still looking at me, and I do think the way Jennifer says it, maybe if you're mindful about the first one, see, I'm still on my first one, right?
You know what? Stop showing that. All right.
Maybe if you just think about that one.
Wait, we're going to go on to some knife hacks from Chef Jet Teal.
Okay, recently he stopped by to help us hone our cutting skills, and he shared a few of his sharpest tips and tricks. Take a look.
Okay, Jet, this is like the great mystery.
We don't know.
We need fewer knives than we think. So what are the 3 we need?
For sure. All you really need is a good chef's knife, which is the one that's 8 to 12 inches. It tapers. The next one is going to be a paring knife, which is the smaller one. You don't need the bird's beak, just the regular straight edge. And then finally, you just need a serrated slicer. And I'm going to show you why. Don't throw them away. Put them away.
Can we
Master
ask you,
these 3.
What do you use? What do you use each of those for? So let's start with the big boy.
You got it. Let's start with the big boy. So the big boy is a chef's knife. This is going to do 90% of your work. And again, I'm doing a vegetable salad with a basically grilled flank steak with chimichurri. So for this dish, check it out. I'm going to basically let me show you the grip first. All the grips are going to be exactly the same for all knives. You actually want to pinch grip. So you're going to take your thumb and your index, hold the blade, and then wrap your 3 fingers around the edge. That way the knife becomes an extension of your arm.
Never used it like that.
Okay, next, remember my rhyme. A tile becomes a slice becomes a dice. Repeat after me. A tile becomes a slice.
A slice becomes a dice.
So I've made a tile, which is going to be all your rectangle cuts. And then for the tile reduces things down to the slice. And if you want to make little dices, that's it. Slice becomes a dice. So that's the chef's knife, all right?
Okay.
And then I've also cut herbs. I made a chimichurri sauce. So to take herbs, you basically ball them up really tight. And then you push them against the knife, and then boom. So chef's knife is your 90% all-purpose knife. Let's move over to the pairing, the actual serrated slicer. Another good tip for your home: marry any meats to a gel board. So I've got a really large wood board here, and that's going to be for non-meats. And anytime you don't want to wash your big board, take a little gel board. Put all your proteins on a gel board. And this is the serrated slicer. It has little scallops there on it. It's long. It's got a slender blade. And these actual scallops, these little scallops actually are all little cutting edges. And this is going to help you cut meat. It's going to help you cut the really soft things that we struggle with, like tomatoes and fruit. This is going to be good. And obviously, it works for bread. I just don't want people getting used to calling it a bread knife. You know what I mean? So don't call it a bread knife.
So soft fruit and veggies, that's for the serrated thing.
That's exactly right. And then we get to the final knife you absolutely need.
I've
is
used
a
this
pairing
for
knife.
This is for my cocktails. Okay.
Jenna, I think people, I get that vibe. You're using this knife for everything. That's a big trap everyone falls into. Just because you can hold it in your hand doesn't mean it makes it easier for everything.
My cocktails and then the other thing I make.
You got it right, though. You got it for the cocktail. So, think about this one for detail work, like kiwis, limes, citrus fruit. Citrus fruit is important for kids. Like lunches, but it's also important for adult beverages. So that's why I want you to use. And also this motion of actually drawing towards you. Sometimes in the French kitchen we call it like the tourneing. But anyway, just cut away from you. So those are the 3 knives you need. But let's get into daily knife maintenance. You don't actually have to sharpen your knives every day. You need to steel your knife every day. This rod is a steel. I'm going to show you how to use it. So the knife edge itself, the blade is straight, and then the bevels at the end are the actual edge. This is just to kind of hone those edges. So what we're trying to do is line up the edge of the knife, angle it slightly so you get both bevels. And a really good way, and I'll show you another way. This one scares people because you're kind of going towards your hand. A really good way to do it is take a towel, put it on your cutting board, Mount the rod downward.
Yes.
Find that edge.
And
How
you
does
don't
that sound?
slip.
And 5
That's
swipes.
better. Wait,
Five
if you
swipes, just 5. Don't
if
keep
you've
going.
never ever done that, is that okay?
You just get a new knife. Go buy another one.
You're basically going to do that today when you get home, and you're like, wow,
I've
my
got to
knives
find
are
that
actually
thing.
sharp.
I thought it was for s'mores.
I didn't know. All right. I think we got to go, Jet, but we love you. This meal
recipe
looks
is
yummy. We're
delicious.
going to put the whole thing on our website. It's the steak and veggie and all the tips, everything you got. Jet, thank you again.
Our friend today, nutritionist Joy Bauer, came up with a super simple sheet pan breakfast that you can prepare now that will impress your family tomorrow morning. Take a look.
Joy, first of all, we love you. And secondly, I never thought that you could make pancakes or some type of pancake early and save it for the week.
Yeah.
I really do believe these are going to be a game changer for breakfast because they all come out of the oven warm at the same time. So I'm going to show you how to make the dry ingredients first. I'm going 50-50 with a whole wheat flour for more fiber and minerals and an all-purpose flour, a little bit of baking powder, and a little bit of kosher salt. So that's all you need for the dry ingredients. And of course, you could make this ahead. So now I'm going to show you how to do the wet ingredients. And I'm going to slip this over here. And I have 3 lightly beaten eggs. I'm adding in 2.5 cups of milk, and it could be any type of milk. I'm using an almond milk. It can be skim milk, soy milk, whatever type of milk you have in your house. Instead of adding butter, this is where things get much healthier.
Yes.
I'm putting in a 1/2 cup of natural unsweetened applesauce.
Oh.
This gives a gentle sweetness, but it also maintains the moisture. So it's sort of like the secret ingredient. A little bit of vanilla extract, because you guys know vanilla makes everything more delicious. And our sweetener will be some maple syrup. So I stir this up. And then you're going to put the wet ingredients into the dry ingredients. But to save some time, I actually have a swap right over here.
Okay.
And so this is our batter. And it's okay if you have some lumps. It really is. Let me push this over to the side. You can see it's nice and smooth.
Yeah.
And you then take a standard, this is a 13 by 18 baking sheet. And you see it's shiny because I misted it with some nonstick oil spray. And I am dumping the entire batter right into that baking sheet.
Yeah.
This is a sheet pan pancakes. And the cool thing is there's no standing over the skillet, flipping one after the other. You know how like one you flip and it flops?
Yes.
At the end, the last batch is warm. The beginning is cold.
I know. That
so
is,
none of...
This makes it
this
so
is This is a
easy.
great hack.
Yeah.
So it's nice and smooth. You're going to tap it on the counter a few times to remove some of the bubbles, and things are really going to get fun now. We are going to become pancake Picassos with the toppings. So I'm here.
Put it
Let
on
me
now
get
when
this
it's
out of the
raw?
way.
Yeah, do you put it on before you cook it?
Oh,
Yes.
of course you do.
It's optional, but I'm going to do that. So you could do anything you want, like lines of blueberries, lines of
Beautiful.
strawberries.
Good for the
Bananas.
summer.
Look
Whoa.
at this.
So how do you cut it?
You just wait. Do you just bake it real quick? How long do you bake it?
So I put it in the oven at 425 just for 15 minutes. That's it. And the cool part is you could eat, it's warm, you could serve it and gobble it down immediately, or you could cut it into squares and you could put it either in the fridge or the freezer. And then whenever you have a pancake craving, you could go ahead and just, yes, either in the microwave or in the oven.
Oh, that's a
And
brilliant.
look at
Look at that. More syrup. You
Brilliant
need more.
idea. Joy,
okay.
thank you
Joy,
so
thank you. That
much.
looks really good. For this recipe, head to today.com/food.
Today Talks continues after the break, and you don't want to miss it. Stay with us.
Let's go. And good evening from New Orleans. There is breaking news. There you go.
Make the most of your day with Today All Day. Get closer to all your friends at Today in a whole new way.
Today in 30.
We give you a mix of everything you love about our show
in a mere 30 minutes.
Yes.
Shop today with Joe Martin.
We're helping you shop like never before.
The latest styles and biggest names. Today Food.
Things are heating up in the Today All Day kitchen.
Cooking essentials and recipe inspiration.
Get ready. Are you ready?
Oh, I'm so ready.
Only on Today All Day.
Good morning. Welcome to Today. Nice to have you with us. We wanted to surprise Ellie and make her wish come true.
What do you think about coming to visit us? Yes.
There's only one thing that people are saying.
You are
Stay connected and stream the news you need with Xfinity X5.
Our top story is unfolding right now.
The fast speed you depend on.
We begin with breaking news right now in Florida.
And a reliable connection for all your devices.
This story matters to all of us.
Whenever and however you watch.
Our bite-sized mix of everything you love about all 4 hours of our show, but half the calories.
Oh, yes.
With Xfinity X5.
Next up on our menu, a story full of hope and inspiration about a Californian teen and food lover who spent much of his childhood in and out of hospitals. But thanks to the Make-A-Wish Foundation, Justin Wang got a chance to pursue his passion for cooking, and now he's paying it forward, reimagining his favorite foods in a heart-healthy way. Take a look.
My love for food comes from my love for creativity. I think everyone loves food, whether it's cooking it or just eating it. It's one of life's simple joys.
18-year-old Justin Wang doesn't take life's simple joys for granted. Throughout his childhood, he dealt with chronic heart failure, which affected his overall health.
Being a kid and having to deal with heart failure was very impactful towards my life. It made me different from my peers and my classmates.
He has to go to hospitals and do procedures, and sometimes he couldn't go to school just because of a simple flu cold.
In 2018, Justin's health took a drastic turn, and he needed a heart transplant to save his life.
That was an incredibly soul-shattering moment for me, just because it turned everything upside down.
Thankfully, just 2 weeks later, in the middle of the night, Justin got great news from his parents, Yang and Lin Wang.
They told me, they have a heart waiting for you. They had a heart waiting for you. I was like, no way. But it was real. I think the hospital was a little bit more beautiful that night.
To me, it's like a miracle. It's a very precious gift from our donor.
Following the surgery, Justin experienced great pain, but found joy in watching cooking videos from content creators like Claire Saffitz.
Can I say it? Action.
And Rie McClinney.
Today, it's going to be just me cooking.
And cooking quickly became a part of his recovery.
The doctor come in and look at him. Oh, Justin, what is cooking today? So they would exchange the recipes, what they like to eat.
At the time, going to walk to the pots and pans, going to get ingredients from the fridge was exercise for myself. Cooking really helped me with post-transplant recovery.
During this time, he was granted a wish with the Make-A-Wish Foundation, and he had the perfect idea.
When you do have a transplant, you have a special diet. So I wish for a cookbook, a heart-healthy cookbook that I could use and bring to my own health and bring to my own recovery.
So the Make-A-Wish Foundation paired Justin with Chef Victoria LaCuesta, a personal chef who specializes in healthy eating.
He loves Asian cuisine. Asian cuisine is very salty, and one of the things I kind of try to work with him and his mom was introducing low sodium ingredients and making things more flavorful.
She taught me that you can actually use less soy sauce and you can always incorporate veggies. I think that those are the most important and valuable lessons I learned from her, and I still use those techniques to this day. When I see other people eating my food and enjoying it, it's like, gosh, yes! It's an amazing feeling.
Today, Justin and Yang continue to work with Make-A-Wish to grant wishes to kids just like him.
Make-A-Wish is able to give us something good in this world. And I think that's very important because we can't lose hope while fighting these diseases.
Justin has changed his character tremendously from before the transplant, before Make-A-Wish, to what he is now. It's just unbelievable.
I am so grateful to my donor. Every breath I take and every moment that I do is because of them and their generous gift.
And we are so happy because Justin is here. Our studio is a little brighter with you in it, Justin.
Hi, Justin.
Thank you so much for having me. Hello, you guys.
Justin, what we love, we're great because you're here, but what we love is that your life changed, and instead of just taking, you've decided to give back. How awesome is Make-A-Wish to you?
It's really an amazing organization. I feel just blessed being a part of it and blessed being a part of the community that Make-A-Wish provides for me and other Wish kids.
Justin. Well, Justin, we wanted to share a little something with you. Subaru of America admires your commitment to Make-A-Wish of the Greater Bay Area. So they're donating $11,000 to help you grant more wishes.
Go, Justin.
Oh,
Go, Justin.
God.
What do you think? How is that going to help?
That means just so much to me. Thank you.
Oh, hello. How are you?
Good.
You came up 101 flights.
Yeah.
How are you with heights?
I love it because I hated it as a kid.
Yeah.
And I don't know about, oh gosh, I'm just remembering now. Like, I had such a fear of heights. And growing up in Australia, everyone seems to be jumping off something, going rock climbing. Everyone's doing something to do with heights, roller coasters, and it was a nightmare because I had all older brothers and sisters, so I was trying to keep up with them. And I'll never forget, we went on a school trip. I was probably 12, and it was the first time I'd rock climbed.
Oh, jeez.
And so my group were there, and I was the first one up. So I'm halfway up this rock climb, and I freeze. I'm actually just thinking about it. I absolutely froze, and the guy's trying to encourage me, and I can hear snickering from the other 15 kids. And it just got worse and worse. I'm shaking. The guy said, "You're going to have to come down." I said, no, I'm not coming. No, I'm going to get there. And he goes, no, you're coming down. So he lowers me down, and I can just hear the laughter. And I started to cry, and I turned to them and I said, well, you just wait till you try it. You just wait. You wait. It's really hard. So I come down. They're all like snickering, and one by one, they all
went
just
to the top?
No problem. They just flew up. And for the next 3 years, it literally became. That was the catchphrase. So anything I did in school, and people would be like, well, you just wait till you have to try it. Like, all right, let's do this math test. Well, you wait till you have to try it. And I'm like, never lived it down. So I actually went to the diving board at our school, and I just jumped off it until at lunchtime for like a week until I got over it. And now I love it.
Is that like your philosophy on life? When there's something in the way, you just have to like look it in the eye?
Totally.
And do it?
I am quite I was a fearful kid, fearful of heights, fearful of the dark. I never liked being in a house on my own. And then when people say what's your biggest fear, it's fear itself for me, because it just stops you living. It stops you enjoying so many things. And so I just always, if I'm scared of something, if I have to bungee jump, which I now would love, I'll be straight off. Don't think about it, just go.
Wait, you would do that without?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. So
why, have you got one set up?
There's no way
we are 101 floors up. Could be.
I know.
Could be a first.
Well, you're like an action guy too, so you have to kind of
pretend.
You don't really do any of that stuff. How do you teach your kids to overcome fear? Like, what's the way to teach?
That's a really good question. The first thing I teach them now, which I didn't, is to admit it. It's okay to be scared. It's okay to say you're scared. It's not embarrassing to be scared. It's normal. And by the way, sometimes it's a really smart thing to be scared, right? Mm-hmm. As a parent, I think the amount of things I should have been more scared of, you know, but just admit it and don't be harsh on yourself. I think my main message to them now is no good comes out of being harsh. Harshness doesn't really achieve anything. Even with yourself, you can be firm with yourself, you can push yourself a little bit, but do it with more loving ways. So, you know, it's a fine balance, isn't it? Because we all know that there are hurdles in life, and you have to kind of push through them, whether it be the first date, the SAT, whatever that first test. You do have to push through it, but my philosophy is to be kinder about it to yourself.
They were right.
What about you?
Well, you know what though? I want to tell you one thing. They were right. We have a woman who works with me who does hair, and a woman who works with me who does makeup. And they said, when you sit and visit with Hugh, you will never think that he's Hollywood. You'll think he's your friend. And I just want to say that they were right.
Oh, thank you.
They were right. They were right. They're not here.
They're not here.
They're not here, but they were right. They were right.
Thank you.
So that's such a great trait. Wow. I mean, because it's in this business, it's hard to keep that, I think.
Yeah, well, if you want to ask my guys who are here, I'll give you the opposite point of view.
Is that right?
Yeah.
They're like,
yeah, the laughter. There
"Oh."
it is. Yeah, listen, I think for me, my first job in anything as an actor, I was 26. So I think it's really hard. I really feel for the kids who become very famous and successful early on in life. I mean, I didn't know. I would say 25 is when I started to get a little bit of a handle on who I was, where I was going. By 26, I mean, X-Men was my first real movie in America. I was 30. Now at 30, you know who you are, right? So if someone hands you for example, sexiest man alive, I only try to mention it once in every interview I heard it, but I'm like, well, I do remember a good solid 10 years of literally not being noticed and getting turned down in every corner. So it's weird that I'm all of a sudden that guy,
Guy.
So I think it helps having had some rejection and some real life experience.
Welcome to Today All Day.
All day?
Today, all day. All day.
This is a long way of asking who's your favorite character you've ever played.
The unicorn. The unicorn. You gotta have the unicorn.
What is she right there? That's why you're saying all these nice things?
Yeah, she gave me the look. Sorry to disturb your day. Everyone's mad at you, Willie.
Better make this fast. I don't want the wrath of Luna.
When I see you, I always think, I wonder what his quote would be.
Give us 6 minutes and we'll ask as many questions as we can.
Welcome to Cold Cuts. Cold Cut. Cold Cut.
My buddy Cal cooking with me.
Dads don't babysit. It's called parenting.
What was the first book you remember loving?
Heart Smart Today with simple exercises to strengthen your heart.
Make the most of your beach days. It's all about the tracksuit now. How good do they look?
I now pronounce you husband and wife. Kiss the bride.
This morning, a story of people helping people.
You've received tons of letters from people who have been inspired.
Let's do the weather out. Okay. All you gotta do is say, it's cold, it's warm, it's raining, it's snowing. That's it.
One of our most favorite franchises ever, Ambush Makeovers.
Okay.
Look at it. It doesn't look so good.
No, it doesn't look good.
Will you judge us in a cook-off?
I will, and you guys will definitely win something.
Today, all day.
All day?
All day.
Welcome to Today All Day.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Today. Future's looking bright. Are you ready? We're going to do our part to spread the word on the importance of vaccines, so crucial for reopening America.
A big day around here. A very special naturalization ceremony.
Many of them doctors, nurses, other essential workers.
If you are a nurse, thank you.
Spring has sprung, guys, and we want to fill this season with some fun and surprises.
Yes.
This is the face of excitement.
Celebrating Earth Day. Let's change the world. Love it.
Stay connected and stream the news you need with Xfinity X5.
Our top story is unfolding right now.
The fast speed you depend on and a reliable connection for all your devices, whenever and however you watch with Xfinity X5. Make the most of your day with Today All Day. Get closer to all your friends at Today in a whole new way.
Today in 30.
We give you a mix of everything you love about our show
In a mere 30 minutes.
Shop today with Jill Martin.
We're helping you shop like never before.
The latest styles and biggest names. Today Food.
Things are heating up in the Today All Day kitchen.
Cooking essentials and recipe inspiration.
Get ready. Are you ready?
Oh, I'm so ready.
Only on Today All Day.
Good morning. Welcome to Today. Nice to have you with us. We wanted to surprise Ellie and make her wish come true.
What do you think about coming to visit us? Yes.
There's only one thing that people are saying.
You are.
Well, I was just thinking about the projects you choose and why you choose them, because you choose so many. You're like such a Renaissance guy. I mean, I see you on Broadway. I saw your one-man show. I thought that was incredible.
Thank you.
See, in X-Men, you do all kinds of things. You're about to do The Music Man. You've got this movie that's coming out right now.
Yeah.
So when you're choosing a project, does it have to check a box, or do you go on gut, or what is it?
Gut, more and more. And if there's a box to be checked, I have to be a little bit nervous about it. I have to feel there's a challenge to it. That brings out the best in me. And also it means I know that I'm going to have to grow. You know, if I go, I've done that, I know how to do that, I probably wouldn't say yes. Director and script. So the story, director, the people you're working with are key. And then gut. More and more I trust my gut. And if I look back, the times I've trusted my gut, against all reason, almost always works out.
All you have to do is follow my voice.
Tell me about Reminiscence. So when this project came to you, I know the director sought you out. I mean, came for you,
Right.
literally came for you, said, this is for you. What appealed to you about this movie?
Well, first of all, Lisa Joy, who's one of the creators of Westworld, which I was a fan of and I think is amazing. I already knew of her work, so I was already very, very intrigued. She's an incredibly original, smart voice in our business. And so when she came to me, she did tell me, she said, I wrote this 5 years ago. I wrote this before Westworld, but I knew I wouldn't get the money for it until I had a success behind me. But you were always the one in my mind. Now, whenever someone says that, I presume that Brad's turned it down, but that's fine. But actually, I do believe her. She did say it more than once, even after we'd finished the film. So, and it's incredibly humbling in a way to think that someone is thinking that they know your work or they think they know you. But for me, there was something so original about this story. It grabbed me in that. At the beginning of the story, I feel like I'm playing like a Bogart type of character in like a classic sort of film, and then all of a sudden it goes off, and I'm like, I have no idea where this is going. And that's such a rare thing when you watch a movie or when you read a script, you think, I have no idea where this is going. And I actually rang my agent 20 pages in, and I said, I'm doing this movie. I haven't even finished yet, I'm doing it. Well, you play such a broken man. Like in the beginning, you're kind of fooled by you, and then you watch as your character just kind of unravels. How do you get into that head? It's the real me. I do a lot of work in creating the character. So the thing I ask myself is, if someone had to play me, or if I had to play you, what would I need to know to play Hoda? And as soon as you ask yourself that question, you think, well, there's a hell of a lot more someone would need to know than what I present. You need to know a lot of the stuff that I cover up, that I don't want you to see, the things I'm embarrassed by, all the background. So I do all that work. And I really try to give each character that respect, because for me, that's the fun. That's the creation. That's the digging, the archaeology of acting and getting into humanity. So I do all that work, particularly around he's a decorated war veteran with obvious PTSD. So I did a lot of work on that and what that means and what the reality of that is. And there's a lot of research about it. And then try to imagine that character in this situation. Even though it's set in the future, it's very relevant to today.
Well, I saw the love story is very dark too, and twisted, and like you're always leaning in, what's happening, what's going on with those two, and it's electric. And I was looking back because I said, I wonder, it struck me just about your real life love. And I said, wow, look at Hugh, married 25 years.
Yeah, 25.
Like, is it like that?
No. We're not twisted and dark. You know Deb. Deb is the lightest, most optimistic person I've ever met in my life. Like, she, honestly, if you ever want to play the game, who's the happiest person in the room, Deb wins. Just know Deb wins. She literally, and I'm probably too much information, and she'll say, please don't, but anyway, this is Deb. When she goes to bed, she's like one of those dolls that when their eyes are open, as soon as they're horizontal, the eyes close, and then as soon as you tip them, she wakes up in the morning like this. She's like, hey, morning, hi, what are we doing today? Oh, it's going to be so great. I'm just like, whoa, back it up, slow it down, give me some coffee, give me a second. She's like, all right.
She's ready. She's ready to go.
She just makes the most of everything. Cut to Reminiscence, even though played by the incredible Rebecca Ferguson, who plays May, who I was with in The Greatest Showman and who I love. That's a love story that borders on obsession.
Yes.
When you fall so hard and fast in love with someone, and the question becomes, when you're in love with someone in those early throes of love, is it really the person you're seeing or what you want to see? And then in our story, that person disappears very quickly in the middle of that height of that romance. And then it becomes this obsession to find her and what's going on. And that leads me into the dark world. So yeah, that's very different with Deb.
I got chills. I don't know why.
Chills?
I don't know why. I got it. I'm not sure why.
World?
I think it's that. Something about it just creeped me out a little bit.
Deb is, anyway.
Yeah. I was just thinking, like, when you and Deb met, did you, was it was just,
I knew it before
it was
her.
instant. Yeah.
I knew
you
it before her.
Yeah.
She will often say, I had a New Year's resolution that year, I'm not going to date any more actors and none under 30. meet my husband. Like, so I knew early on, and I don't know why, I'm very indecisive by nature. I am not the kind of person, I don't go to dinner with me, it's a nightmare. I don't know, what do you think? I like the chicken, but what do you think? This looks good. And Deb would be like, let's go. But with a few times in my life, Deb being one, I knew 100%. I just knew off the bat. Well, 2 weeks in. Off the bat would be a little crazy.
But 100% though, after a couple of weeks is amazing.
100%. Yeah. Deb actually tried to break up with me about 3 weeks into our relationship. This is the second time I'm sharing too much. Sorry, Deb. And it was obvious to me that she was getting ready. And normally, my playbook for that situation is, hey, I'm breaking up with you before you break up with me. I'm out, right? Yeah. And I just turned to her. We were driving back in the car, and I said, are you trying to work up the courage to break up with me? Are you trying to, in your head? And she goes, yes. I said, you just better get over it. It's not going to happen. I know it. And she went, okay. And that was it.
And 25
and as
years
those
later,
words came out of my mouth, I was like, who's that guy talking? That's not me. But it was just, people often say, oh my God, marriage is so much work. And I just, there are some things you've got to live by, but it hasn't felt like that. It's been one of the best things.
By the way, eyes are a giveaway in life, man. Eyes
really?
are a giveaway. Yeah. And whenever you say it or just saying her name, like it's cool to see true love 25 years later.
Make the most of your day with
Today in 30. We give you a mix of everything you love about our show
in a mere 30 minutes.
Savannah and Hoda bring you what you must know. The biggest moments of the morning.
One Republic!
Exclusive interviews.
Why did it work for you?
You're right. I am more talented than the rest.
And important headlines.
Major medical news this morning.
Watch Today in 30 on your schedule. Streaming every day on Today All Day.
Today is now a podcast, available every morning. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
Good morning. Welcome to Today.
Start your day with us every morning. Get your daily dose of news on the go with the Today podcast. And stream Today anytime you want.
Today, all day.
Every day.
Wherever you are, Today is there.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Today. Future's looking bright. Are you ready? We're going to do our part to spread the word on the importance of vaccines, so crucial for reopening America.
A big day around here, a very special naturalization ceremony.
Many of them doctors, nurses, other essential workers.
If you are a nurse, thank you.
Spring has sprung, guys, and we want to fill this season with some fun and surprises.
Yes.
This is the face of excitement.
Celebrating Earth Day.
Let's change the world.
Love it!
Make the most of your day with
Today in 30. We give you a mix of everything you love about our show
in a mere 30 minutes.
Savannah and Hoda bring you what you must know. The biggest moments of the morning.
One Republic!
Exclusive interviews.
Why did it work for you?
You're right. I am more talented than the rest.
And important headlines.
Major medical news this morning.
Watch Today in 30 on your schedule. Streaming every day on Today All Day.
Today is now a podcast, available every morning. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
For breaking news in our changing world, download the NBC News app.
I love this movie for a bunch of reasons, but it's also about memory.
Right.
And it's funny, as I was watching it too, I was actually thinking of a story you told a while ago. And it struck me, and I've retold it, and I've probably retold it wrong, and I've told it at speeches because I just loved it so much.
Right.
And it was the story of your first time at Carnegie Hall.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm getting chills again. But I think because it defined something, I'm not sure why that spoke to me so, but sometimes I'll say it in a speech or whatever because it moved me. For people who don't know it, I know it's a little short story, but will you tell that again for me?
Misting up a little bit?
Yeah.
I am too, I have to tell you. So, my dad never missed a day of work in his life. He worked for Pricewaterhouse his whole life, literally one company. Never missed a day, except for 3. And that was when I was offered to sing at Carnegie Hall. He's so sweet. And it was a big moment for me, obviously. I had never sung in America before at the time. And I rang my dad, who's always very supportive, no matter what I'm doing, like, no matter what. Like, oh, you know, Hugh, when you played Van Helsing, that was just so great work. Like, he had no interest in that movie at all. Yeah. So when I told him about Carnegie Hall, he was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to be there. I'm totally coming. So he did. It was 3 days. It was a 24-hour flight from Sydney. He was there for 24 hours and then a 24-hour flight back, straight to the office. And I rang him and I said, Dad, it's black tie. As soon as you arrive, I'll be in touch with you and we'll arrange everything. So he arrived on the day of the performance. And so I found out while he was in the air that it wasn't black tie. And I was it was business casual or something. I was freaking out because I thought, well, maybe Dad is, like, maybe that's all he's brought. Like, maybe he's coming in playing gear and a black tie, right? So the moment he landed, I said, Dad, I'm so sorry, it's not black tie, it's business casual. And he goes, don't worry, Hugh, it's okay. It's fine, I've got all day, I'll sort it out. And then he said, do me a favor, if it's all right with you, I would really love to walk with you, pick you up at the hotel, and walk with you to the stage door at Carnegie Hall. I said, fine, meet me at 6 o'clock, we'll walk over together. So 6 o'clock on the dot, he's an accountant, very punctual. Knock on the door and I open it up and there is my father in full black tie, standing in the hallway. And I'm like, no, Dad, it's not black tie. I'm sorry, no. Like, no one's wearing black tie except for the choir, the conductor, that's it. Like, and he said, Hugh, my son is singing at Carnegie Hall. It's black tie for me. And so we walked over together and I'll never forget, he's a beautiful man. And I never forget seeing him because Carnegie Hall is quite lit up. And I'd sung my songs and I'm sitting down because it was like a concert and I could see him up there. Hoda, you've done it to me, now I'm getting emotional. He was just sitting up there crying. Yeah, it was a good moment. Oh, and then when the one-man show, I told that story and my dad came from Australia to see it and he was staying with me for a week. I told that story and I thought, I'm going to go out and my dad's here tonight. So I walk out and unbeknownst to me, Deb had told him that he said he's going to tell the story at Carnegie Hall, bring your black tie. So as I put the light on him, there he stood up in full black tie.
Oh,
it was like, I'm like, oh, there's a bit of showbiz in my old man. Like,
look at that.
There goes the accountant.
How's he doing, by the way?
He's good.
He's okay?
Yeah, he's okay. Yeah, he's doing good. And, and I luckily just had some time with him.
Oh,
and
thank God,
because the pandemic was hard, like not seeing my family for so long. And I'd been down there in Australia.
Yeah.
We arrived 4 days before the lockdown. And I was in Melbourne and we had to come straight back. So I hadn't seen my family for 2.5 years, which is way too long.
I know you've been practicing for the Music Man. We've seen you tap. I didn't know it was such a sweaty exercise. I had no idea. You're drenched.
It is the greatest workout ever. And it's so much fun. It's like drumming just without the drums.
Yeah.
It's probably just as annoying for everybody else in the house, unfortunately. But I tell you, if you want to work out for your legs, it is the best. And your core.
That's the one.
But I've been practicing right throughout the pandemic, but either in my home or as things lifted out with Warren, my choreographer, and Sarah. And I just thought, let's just keep going. I can't just not do anything for 1.5 years. And also remember, we didn't know how long it was going to last. So I was meant to have started 1 year ago. Wow. And then we thought, it'll be September. I thought, we'll go. And then, it's going to be January. And then it just sort of extended. I thought, I'll just keep going.
So are you pumped for Broadway? Can you believe it's opening? Like it's really happening. This is a real thing.
I just can't believe it's been closed this long.
Yeah.
That just keeps hitting me. Yeah. And I wish I'd been in the audience for some of these first. Like some of these, it must have been incredible. And I can't believe it, but I'm so excited to be part of it. To be there as Broadway opens up again, and also to bring back a musical, which is the first musical I ever did, by the way, The Music Man.
Is that right?
High school. Yeah, I was in year 9, so what does that make me, 15? I was salesman number 2. Gutted I didn't get the lead part, so no, I'm kidding, no. I knew I was that whole opening and and I loved that musical. So in my head, I was like, one day. So here it is. So to be coming back in The Music Man on Broadway, and I've been lucky. I've done London, West End. Obviously, I've done theatre in Australia. There's nothing like Broadway, particularly for a musical. That's the pinnacle.
whenever I can see it, I'm going to come see you because I'm dying to see it with you. When I saw you tapping, because every kid who's ever taken tap for 5 seconds, which we all have, step, shuffle, hop, step, step, you're like, oh my gosh, that's how it's done. I'm ready.
So how much tap did you do?
Not much, man. Not
Oh.
much. No.
I wish I'd known that earlier.
I've done
Where's my
like,
researcher?
I did tap in it was bad news, but
Really?
but there is a joy to it that I understood when I was watching you. I mean, when you're in love with it.
It's just fun.
Yeah, it's a blast. How are your backgammon skills, by the way?
So
are you
good.
Still?
Got so much better.
Are you sure?
Oh. Are we laying down the gauntlet?
No.
Deb and I play 20 games a day. 20. That's the secret. And it gets heated. She is competitive.
She is?
Oh, yeah.
So how does
if you want to see a little bit of the darkness, you throw a double six to win it right at the last minute, and then you'll see a little bit of the dark edge of Deb. But my backgammon skills got very good, I think, over the pandemic. So, beware.
Okay.
I'll take it on. Bring it on. All comers.
For breaking news in our changing world, download the NBC News app.
Let's go. This is a critical choke point for this fire. And good evening from New Orleans. Nice to really spend some time with you. Appreciate
it. Make the most of your day with
Today in
30. We give you a mix of everything you love about our show
in a mere 30 minutes.
Watch Today in 30 on your schedule, streaming every day on Today All Day. For breaking news in our changing world, download the NBC News app.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Today. Future's looking bright. Are you ready? We're going to do our part to spread the word on the importance of vaccines, so crucial for reopening America.
A big day around here. A very special naturalization ceremony.
Many of them doctors, nurses, other essential workers.
If you are a nurse, thank you.
Spring has sprung, guys, and we want to fill this season with some fun and surprises.
Yes.
This is the face of excitement.
Celebrating Earth Day.
Let's change the world.
Love it!
The Meet the Press Chuck Toddcast, free wherever you get your podcasts.
I have 2 children.
I know. And by the way, I wanted to say to you, I said it off air, but I wanted to say on air how happy Deb and I are for you and for Joel and just your family, because it's been so beautiful to watch and how you've shared that journey so far. It's beautiful. And I'm actually saying that on behalf of Australia and the world.
Well, I mean, I think...
And if you need a babysitter, my daughter says she's in.
She is. Well, it's so funny because I've made a couple of really great decisions in my life, and probably 3 real great ones. And they were picking Joel and adopting Healing and Hope.
Yeah. I'm gonna match you on that. Same. That's
3 best decisions in your life.
That's it.
And how are the kids? How is that?
I'm just going to cry through this whole interview. It's so amazing to me, the journey. So I have a 21-year-old now, and as of last Saturday, a 16-year-old, and I'm so proud of them, how they handled the pandemic, because if I try to think what that would have been like for me at that age, where your parents, not only do they mean nothing, you want them so far away from you at that age as possible. And then all of a sudden, not only are you not seeing your friends, you're stuck with them indefinitely. It's like a horror movie. So, but regardless, with school and everything that went on, I was just so proud of them. And they are the greatest gift ever to come into my life. And it's just such a blessing, truly a blessing. So when I see you talking about it and when you shared with it, and literally Deb and I in the morning we were crying along with you.
Well, that means a lot. Well, I'm glad we have something cool like that in common.
Yeah.
Very cool.
With 3s.
Ah, yes. 3s. All right.
Not to be confused with the 3s.
Oh, what about that?
What about that?
What's going on with Wolverine?
Oh, I'm out.
You're out?
I'm out.
That's it.
Yeah, but it was one of the greatest working things of my life. But
Okay, I don't know. You know how everybody buzzes.
All right.
He's back. He's out. He's
You're
in.
late.
He's out.
Fine.
Okay.
Chicken yassa has been my totemic dish. It's my good luck dish, in a way. Lemons are non-threatening, ditto chicken, ditto onions, and I think for that reason it is a dish that hops or leaps over the taste barricades that people might otherwise have. It also surprises people. Oh, this can't be African. This can't be from West Africa, because it's not what people expect. It's not what people think. My name is Jessica Harris. I use my middle initial B as in boy, so I'm Jessica B. Harris, and I'm a food historian. I have, for the past 30 plus years, lived here in what I like to refer to as the People's Independent Republic of Brooklyn. My parents met and married in Brooklyn. I started writing about food in the late 1970s as the travel editor for Essence magazine. Why did I gravitate towards studying cuisines of the African diaspora? Well, I think if you look at me, some of that is probably obvious. It is the world in which I grew up. It's the food I grew up eating. But it's also the world in which I have done much of my traveling, and it is the world of my academic study. I always paraphrase Zora Neale Hurston, who used to say that she looked at the world through the spyglass of anthropology. A food historian looks at, arguably, history, certainly the world, through the spyglass of food. When I started writing about food, it was a very different landscape. First of all, food to pretty much everyone meant French, or at the very least European. Italy kind of came in along with the Mediterranean diet, and then Spain followed Italy, and it was Barbara Trapp, Julia Child, Paula Wolfert, Nancy Harmon Jenkins, a variety of women who each established sort of culinary bailiwicks, if you will, and who talked about food within those contexts. Then gradually it expanded, and people like Barbara Trapp brought in China, and then you got Chinese food, and then that brought other Asian foods, Japanese food, and so on and so forth. And then we see South America coming in, but we've never really seen the African Atlantic world on plates, on tables, in any of this. So I've been, fighting the good fight. My first food TV appearance was 36 years ago. And that was just wacko.
Our second author in our Hot and Spicy Foods is Jessica Harris. She's just come out with her first book. It's entitled Hot Stuff, right? What dish is this you brought
This
for?
is chicken yassa, poulet yassa from Senegal in West Africa.
Chicken yassa?
Yassa, yes.
I cooked it myself. I cooked it at home. There was no food stylist involved. It was my very first television appearance for my very first cookbook.
Should I have a plate or
for
use my
you?
fingers?
Oh, well, you can do it either way.
Mother said if it has a bone in it, it's finger food.
It's finger food.
Well, I think a lot of things have changed in food media just in the past year, 2 years, certainly following the Black Lives Matter and George Floyd and everything that has kind of exploded into the front of the mind consciousness, if you will, of the general public. You begin to see a growth of awareness of the importance of the African American chef, of the importance of the African American hand in the cooking pots of this country, and in fact, of this hemisphere. And just because I like to be contentious, and arguably the world. Yassa appears in many, I don't know how many, but many of my cookbooks. It's because it's my good luck recipe. Certainly I'd had stewed chicken, I'd had grilled chicken, I'd had onions that had been sauteed, I'd had lemon juice or lime juice, but I never had them all together. So I think it was the conjoining of them in some factor. Yassa is from the southern part of Senegal. Senegal is a country where the main grain, traditionally, certainly in the south, is rice. And yassa is a dish that is served with rice. I describe it as a connector because the familiar and the unfamiliar. The dish that speaks to that kind of invisible, but sometimes intuited umbilicus, if you will, between the African continent and the American hemisphere. So it's a dish I first tasted when I was in Senegal in 1972, which was my first trip I was going. A girlfriend was supposed to go with me. She canceled at the last moment, and my mother joined me on the trip. Now, my mother was sort of my culinary secret weapon. She had amazing taste buds. She was actually trained as a dietitian and could taste a dish and pretty much replicate it, or at least say, I think that might be coriander, and no, I've got a little cumin coming through. I had met in the course of my interviews for my doctorate a gentleman who I now recognize was probably a griot. He was one of the praise singers who worked at, I think, the Théâtre National Daniel Sorano, which was the National Theatre of Senegal. And we kind of hit it off, and he said, you must come home to lunch. Mom and I went the next day to his place for lunch. It was an amazing experience because he was not someone of wealth. So that was my first meeting of yassa, meeting with yassa, I guess. And it was love at first bite.
Let's go. And good evening from New Orleans. There is breaking news. There you go.
Make the most of your day with
Today in 30. We give you a mix of everything you love about our show in a mere 30 minutes.
Savannah and Hoda bring you what you must know. The biggest moments of the morning.
One Republic!
Exclusive interviews.
Why did it work for you?
You're right. I am more talented than the rest.
And important headlines.
Major medical news this morning.
Watch Today in 30 on your schedule. Streaming every day on Today All Day. For breaking news in our changing world, download the NBC News app. Make the most of your day with Today All Day. Get closer to all your friends at Today in a whole new way.
Today in 30. We give you a mix of everything you love about our show in a mere 30 minutes.
Shop today with Jill Martin.
We're helping you shop like never before.
The latest styles and biggest names. Today Food.
Things are heating up in the Today All Day kitchen.
Cooking essentials and recipe inspiration.
Get ready. Are you ready?
Oh, I'm so ready.
Only on Today All Day.
The Meet the Press Chuck Toddcast, free wherever you get your podcasts.
For breaking news in our changing world, download the NBC News app.
I am rolling the lemons a little bit because that lets the juice come out of the lemon a bit. My personal taste is more to the tart, the bitey, the bright, the acidulated, the lemony, limey, citrusy things. Oh, strong onions. A general compass, there is, in my experience of the continent, taste for the bitey, the heat, whether it comes from the chili itself or from a pepper sauce of some sort. And so that use of the habanero is important. It's what gives my yassa its bite and much of its flavor. One of the interesting things about many of the foods of the African continent is they may be labor intensive. Yassa is something where flavor is, sort of once, twice, 3 times the flavor. This, as I said, involves three different preparations. You marinate, you grill, you stew. It takes time. And so it's a dish that becomes a special occasion dish when you take the time, when you make the time to do that. So you get a little bit of the smokiness from the grill, and in Senegal it would be grilled outside. So you're getting the charcoaly flavor from the grill. So with yassa, what is involved often is the addition of possibly olives, carrots. There is minced habanero, but there's also a pricked habanero. So I'm pricking it because that way, as it's in the stew, it won't explode, because if it explodes, then you don't know how hot it's gonna be. Pimento stuffed olives, obviously something that is not traditional. So this is kind of a fancied up yassa in a way. In Senegal, there is often a preference for what is called riz cassé, or broken rice. Now, it may be a preference for making the best of a bad lot. Rice was certainly an export good, and the whole grain rice, the full rice kernel, if you will, or grain, would have been worth more. But there is also the thought that the broken rice, because it is broken, will absorb the sauce better. And so it's a very, very different dish, but yet a dish that combines flavors that are familiar. I'm not really sure why yassa has had such an impact on me. I think it's because not so much that it was the first dish I tasted in Senegal, but it was the dish that unlocked the thought process that then allowed me to make connections.
This is sneaky good. This sneaks up on you.
Yeah, it sneaks up on you, and if you're really into it, you can cut that little piece of pepper up and make it even hotter.
Don't smoke for at least a half an hour after
Well, you smoke, but from your ears. That's the way you do it.
That's terrific.
You like that?
And I think that the unlocking the thought process was as important as the taste of the dish itself, because all of my cookbooks that deal with the African Atlantic world are a result of that thought process that was unlocked by the yassa.
Make the most of your day with
Today in 30.
We give you a mix of everything you love about our show
in a mere 30 minutes.
Savannah and Hoda bring you what you must know. The biggest moments of the morning.
One Republic!
Exclusive interviews.
Why did it work for you?
You're right. I am more talented than the rest.
And important headlines.
Major medical news this morning.
Watch Today in 30 on your schedule. Streaming every day on Today All Day. Make the most of your day with Today All Day. Get closer to all your friends at Today in a whole new way.
Today in 30.
We give you a mix of everything you love about our show
in a mere 30 minutes.
Shop today with Jill Martin.
We're helping you shop like never before.
The latest styles and biggest names. Today Food.
Things are heating up in the Today All Day kitchen.
Cooking essentials and recipe inspiration.
Is that ready? Are you ready?
Oh, I'm so ready.
Only on Today All Day.
Let's go. This is a critical choke point for this fire. And good evening from New Orleans. Nice to really spend some time with you. Appreciate Let's go. And good evening from New Orleans. There is breaking news. There you go. Sometimes the news can be difficult and overwhelming for kids to understand.
Will coronavirus come back next year?
So to help make sense of it all, we've created a newscast just for them. Man, you know a lot. We hope your family will watch Nightly News Kids Edition.
Every business is closing down. I have to do whatever I can do to celebrate and showcase my heritage, my proud ancient Black Jewish culture, and eventually touch different people through my food. My name is BJ Barhani, the owner of Sion Cafe, Ethiopian Mediterranean restaurant in Harlem, New York. The cuisine we serve at Sion Cafe is a homage to my diverse identity and culture that I was brought up in. It's celebrating my Jewish, my Ethiopian, and the New Yorker aspect of me. As an immigrant, it's very important to empower people within the community and really to help them pave the way and make it here in New York. I have great respect for new immigrants that just want to go and contribute to the community where they live. We opened Sion Cafe in 2014. It's an establishment where you can nourish your body and soul. It's a place for healthy eating, a community gathering, and making a connection with different people. It's a place where you can come and listen to great music. This used to be the famous Jimmy's Chicken Shack, where in the high day of the Harlem Renaissance, musicians such as Art Tatum, Hazel Scott, or Billie Holiday used to perform here. Different people were working here, such as Charlie Parker, Red Fox, the comedian, and the leader, Malcolm X. The live music and the art shows from local artists, local musicians. That's how I honor the legacy of the Harlem Renaissance. I was born in 1976, Tigray, Ethiopia. Growing up in Tigray, it's very happy childhood memories. It was a surreal, beautiful country, delicious food that early mornings I recall my mom roasting the delicious coffee in the house. I left Ethiopia when I was 4 years old and then lived in Sudan for a couple of years. We never really said that we are Jews. We had to hide our religion. We didn't want to create any problem or travel. Arriving eventually to Israel was a dream come true. We integrated to the society, and in some point in my life, I wanted to live in a kibbutz. A kibbutz is a cooperative way of living, sharing in a community. And growing up in Israel was a place where I was exposed to a lot of diversity within the Jewish cuisine. Going to my Georgian or Gruzny friends and eating some delicious food, or going to my Yemenite friend and eating some malawak and jachnun. So I grew up really immersed on all those diversities, cuisines, and that kind of, it molded me to appreciate food from all over the world. In the year of 2000, I came to New York when I was 21. I came to New York by myself, didn't know anybody. I just took a backpack and came here. My parents did come to New York for a couple of times. Loved it. The plan was for her, actually, when I decided to open Sion Cafe, to come and help me here and guide me. Unfortunately, my mom passed away about 4 years ago from cancer. She is a great influence to the person who I am today. And her picture is right there in honor of her. And I will do whatever I can to make sure that I continue that rich legacy that my mom engraved in me. I have 2 kids. Alam is my elder daughter. She is 15 years old. And my son, Berhan, is 11 years old. They take part in helping, if necessary, here at the cafe.
Ethiopian food is what I grew up on. Like the spices, the flavors, everything. It just it's so much, it brings me back to my childhood. And I love introducing it to my friends, and they actually love it as well. So it's really exciting.
The menu is a showcase of the different people, different cuisines, different flavors that I encountered throughout my life. You won't find anywhere in a menu where you have shakshuka together with the Ethiopian veggie combo, or malawak, or jollof rice with doro tips. I never ate jollof rice before when growing up in Israel, but coming here to New York and having employees from Nigeria opened me to that beautiful cuisine. In the neighborhood, it's a lot of fast food. It was very important for me to bring something wholesome that is nourishing the community, is a healthy option. There is a high rate, diabetes, obesity, and I wanted to address those issues by opening a venue where we can provide locally sourced vegetables, organic ingredients. We make fresh injera here every day, about 100 a day. It's made out of F, the ancient grain that it basically has a lot of minerals and vitamins. 2020 for us at Sion Cafe started very well. January was great. February was good, and then all of a sudden March come in and the pandemic hit New York.
The unprecedented changes took effect in 2 of the nation's largest and most densely populated metro areas. Much of New York and San Francisco now shut down.
And it was a disaster. We started feeding frontline workers or anybody in need towards the end of March, and then mid-April. For the security of everybody, for the safety of my employees and myself, we really decided to shut down everything. The city providing this opportunity to open a roadside or sidewalk cafe, it's of course, it's very helpful rather than, depending only on takeout or deliveries. From 30, 40 tables, now you have about 10 tables. It's a big difference in terms of revenue intake. But are we gonna give up? No, we're gonna still keep fighting and make sure we are feeding our community.
Waves of peaceful protest marched on, bigger than ever before.
After the killing of George Floyd, for me as a Black mother, it was very troubling to see of a murder of an innocent man. A lot of people wanted to support minority-owned businesses, Black-owned businesses, and that helped.
Through this pandemic, they've really made an effort and a real obvious commitment to this community, not just by sharing their wonderful gift of food and culture, but by being very open-minded and inviting people like me and my friends and artists to come and share our gifts and our talents.
Harlem is home. Harlem is the Mecca of Black culture. Harlem is part of me. In this pandemic time, hard time, if we can uplift people's spirit, if it's music, healthy food, our job is done.
Make the most of your day with
Today in 30.
We give you a mix of everything you love about our show
in a mere 30 minutes.
Watch Today in 30 on your schedule, streaming every day on Today All Day.
Let's go. This is a critical choke point for this fire. And good evening from New Orleans. Nice to really spend some time with you. Appreciate it.
For breaking news in our changing world, download the NBC News app.
Let's go. This is a critical choke point for this fire. And good evening from New Orleans. Nice to really spend some time with you. Appreciate it.
The Meet the Press Chuck Toddcast, free wherever you get your podcasts.
For breaking news in our changing world, download the NBC News app.
This morning on Today Food, a pepper sauce from one of our favorite chefs that's great with almost anything.
That's right. Kwame Onwuachi is making a comeback on Bravo's Top Chef, the hit show that launched him to stardom. But this time, the James Beard Award winner is back in a different role, judge.
Let's do this. How are you guys? This is not a competition between me and Gregory, but we better win, all right?
Oh, yeah. We also want to mention that Kwame's just come out with a young adult adaptation of his memoir, Notes from a Young Black Chef. Kwame, good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. Thank you so much for having me today.
I am such a fan of Top Chef. I think I've watched every season. How did it feel like when you were a contestant? Did you just dream of the day you could come back? You'd be big enough to be a judge? And here you are.
I think that's every contestant's dream, is to not run around and try to make a taco in 15 minutes ever again. You know, you want to come back and you want to be able to make a change and make impact. And I think as a judge that's competed before, I'm judging from a place of empathy and understanding, which is a little bit different.
Well, they were tough. They were real tough on you when you were a contestant. So do you have a softer touch?
I would say absolutely not. No, I'm not letting up at all. All right.
Good.
That's what makes a great chef. Really giving them feedback that they can then internalize and then just become better. So you don't want to be too soft on them.
Fair enough. Well, before we get to what you're cooking, let's talk about your book, Notes from a Young Black Chef. I think this is so good. You have a young adult adaptation now that is being released.
Yeah. I think, first of all, thank you. I think it's important to show kids that, life is not a linear path. There are ups and downs, you know, and it makes life more rich, and it makes you appreciate those sunnier days when you do go through a little bit of rain.
And Kwame, I mean, your book is now getting the Hollywood treatment. Lakeith Stanfield is playing you, which is pretty cool. How exciting is this? I mean, you are going to be on the big screen, for gosh sake.
It is surreal, you know, like I don't think it's really going to hit me until like I'm eating popcorn and seeing someone say the same things that I said, you know.
Kwame, you're so big now that we only have 30 seconds left, literally, and you have to tell us really quick about that pepper sauce.
All right, so this is my grandfather's pepper sauce from Trinidad. There's Scotch bonnet, there's garlic, there's like a ginger pickling liquid in here. You can put it on anything, all right? And I have this beautiful saltfish salad, boujol, that he used to make for me whenever I used to visit him. Put a little bit of that hot sauce on, and that is the jam. That's it.
Kwame, thank you. Appreciate it. You get that recipe at today.com/food.
One response I always get about Tristan is how much they love him. They really do. I've never had anyone come up to me and say, which you would think I would receive all the time. No one has ever come up to me and said, Tristan was a jerk. Why did you call her Mary? Never happened.
I could even help you study if you want.
I kind of view studying as a solitary activity. But thanks.
Bye, Mary.
It's Rory.
Hi, I'm Chad Michael Murray, and I'm flashing back to Gilmore Girls.
Would you have a boyfriend?
None of your business.
Is that a no?
Is there no one else at the school you can bother?
I think you'd like me. You just don't know how to say it.
Oh, boy.
I believe that was my first recurring role on television. And so, you know, for me, I was really just getting accustomed to the world. And so I was just kind of holding on for dear life. And, you know, Amy Sherman Palladino and everyone would come in. Her writing was just so on point. It still is, obviously, today. And she's so good at getting the best out of you and getting the most out of you in every moment. So we were all on this adventure together as a group. And, you know, even though I was reoccurring, it was just such a big thing for me. I was so excited every day to drive onto that Warner Brothers lot and to go see Stars Hollow and to be in it. And Scott Patterson would take us under his wing. I always envisioned Tristan, his archetype, as the kind of guy that you know you shouldn't be around, but you kind of want to be. My favorite things about Tristan were just typically my scenes with Dean, coming up with just ridiculous names that we call each other.
You're kidding, right? Why, are you going somewhere? Get out of my way, Tristan. Why aren't you clever?
Hey, what's going on?
These fight sequences where you're such a jerk, and Jared's like the sweetest guy in the whole wide world, and we get along so well. And it was always fun for me to be on set and for us to have these scenes where we absolutely despise each other, but yet behind closed doors, you know, off set, like we're just palling around and two big goofy kids, you know. I love working with Alexis. She just was so committed to Rory. It was casting at its finest, right? She was on it. She's the one who I did the majority of my scenes with, right? So we would talk things out. Always want to make sure that everybody's comfortable in every scene. And newbie coming in, I'd be the guy asking questions because, you know, maybe I'd be gone for 2 or 3 episodes, and I'd come back and be like, what I miss? So I'd have to get caught up on life at Stars Hollow. So it was always a thing. It's a very fond memory of mine. Always will. Mm-hmm.
What are you doing?
Talking about the test.
Why?
Because you said you didn't want to talk about Summer.
I do remember, like, the breakup scene where Summer broke up with me and I was like at the piano. I loved that scene. There was something really special about that scene. I just remember it being one of the best scenes that described their relationship. It would have been interesting to see where I think it all would have evolved to had Tristan not gone to military school in North Carolina. Wink, wink, Dawson's Creek. You know, and I think that you can see the writing on the wall in that scene right there, that there's so many places that you could have or could go, right?
Stars shooting across the sky to come to such a place.
But in the end, it was always Dean and Rory. Come on. I think people love Gilmore Girls so much because it's relatable. You know, there's so many characters that we can all identify with, right? And at the center of the entire show is heart. There's heart. And at the end of the day, I think we're all looking for love. Whether you're Luke or Lorelai or Rory or Jess or Dean or Paris or Tristan, we're all just kind of going through this big life and trying to find our way. And that's what storytelling is, right? And in the show, we can all sit back and identify with someone and connect with somebody going on one of these journeys and one of these adventures in their season, in one of their seasons, where you go, gosh, they're a lot like me. I understand their situation. How are they going to deal with their struggles? And to see them overcome those struggles or choose a new path, that's always fascinating. And I think that that's what really sits with us.
Sometimes the news can be difficult and overwhelming for kids to understand.
Will coronavirus come back next year?
So to help make sense of it all, we've created a newscast just for them. Man, you know a lot. We hope your family will watch Nightly News Kids Edition.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Today. Future's looking bright.
Are you ready?
We're going to do our part to spread the word on the importance of vaccines, so crucial for reopening America.
A big day around here, a very special naturalization ceremony.
Many of them doctors, nurses, other essential workers.
If you are a nurse, thank you.
Spring has sprung, guys, and we want to fill this season with some fun and surprises.
Yes.
This is the face of excitement.
Celebrating Earth Day. Let's change the world. Love it!
Good morning. Welcome to Today.
Start your day with us every morning. Get your daily dose of news on the go with the Today podcast. And stream Today anytime you want.
Today, all day.
Every day.
Wherever you are, Today is there. Make the most of your day with
Today in 30.
We give you a mix of everything you love about our show
in a mere 30 minutes.
Savannah and Hoda bring you what you must know. The biggest moments of the morning.
One Republic!
Exclusive interviews.
Why did it work for you?
You're right. I am more talented than the rest.
And important headlines.
Major medical news this morning.
Watch Today in 30 on your schedule. Streaming every day on Today All Day.
I would describe April Nardini as quirky, partly because it literally described her that way in the breakdown for the role. It was like 13-year-old girl, quirky, she will have a storyline with Luke, and I was like, oh, they're giving him a daughter. This is going to be horrible. She's going to break up Luke and Lorelai. I must be her. Dun, dun, dun. I was a huge fan of Gilmore Girls. Me and my sister Laura and my cousin Tina watched that show obsessively. But because I was such a fan, I was obsessed. I was like, okay, I know I have to talk a mile a minute, which isn't that difficult for me, but I really went all for it, to the point where I went to CVS with my dad and bought the Sally Jesse Raphael glasses that she wears on the show. Like literally, we went into CVS, tried to pick out quirky looking glasses. They didn't have one that didn't have prescriptions in it, because why would they sell non-prescription glasses? So for the audition process and for my first day on set, I was wearing glasses that had prescription in it, which was really difficult. And the prop department saw me just taking them off, and they were like, "You don't really wear glasses, do you?" I was like, "No." And they were like, "Do you want us to put clear glass in there?" I was like, "Absolutely," because I'm getting a headache. Even though April's a controversial character, I love her. I think she's so fun and so weird, and like the fact that she entertained herself by filling up salt shakers.
Your salt and pepper shakers look a little low.
Yes, they are. People salt stuff too much.
Can I refill them?
You want to refill the salt shakers?
And the pepper. And possibly the sugar. We'll see how the salt and pepper goes.
Oh, well, okay.
I thought was just so great. Like, I'm an April fan. Yes, she broke them up, but they got back together, so we should all get over it. Probably the first episode was definitely a favorite of mine because those were the audition scenes, and I felt super, super comfortable with all that.
Iced tea, 2 lemons.
But I didn't. You're Luke Dane.
Yes, kid, I'm Luke Danes. What the hell are you wearing?
A bike helmet.
For what kind of bike?
A Schwinn.
Okay.
That helmet was nuts. I think if you watch that scene, you see me pull up on the bike very far in the background, and the bike just kind of falls down. Like, I fall with it.
Cobb salad, no avocado, no bacon, no blue cheese, Italian dressing on the side. Something to drink? Iced tea, 2 lemons. Got it. Caesar, Cobb salad, no Cobb.
And that was actually the first day. That was my first scene. So that was just cool. And I just remember Amy directing that episode and me just really trying not to freak out. Like, I'm cool, I'm normal. Don't let them know. Don't let them know what they hired.
How about I just come and hang out at the diner?
What diner? My diner?
Yeah.
Won't it be boring?
No way. Diners fascinate me. The hustle, the bustle, the Monte Cristos.
Oh, Scott was so much fun to work with. Because he is Luke. He is. And he's like curmudgeon-y and like, and just, he was great. I loved every second of it. He was a great scene partner to work with. I think we had a really good rapport. Yes, people attacked me online all the time. I'm not over-exaggerating when I say people hated me. Like, it was bad. In fact, in a weird way, it was a good thing because it definitely shaped the way I treat social media now. Like, I'm actually thankful for the experience on Gilmore Girls because that happened already. That happened during the awkward years when I was growing into my face. Like, so, you know, they could attack the fact that I broke up a relationship, how I looked, my voice, everything that you as a 13-year-old girl would make you want to never leave the house again happened on a public scale. And by the time I was 18 and on a different show and social media was blowing up, I felt like I was like counseling adults, being like, it's okay, don't worry, it's not about you. Which is crazy. But yeah, one of my proudest things is I've made several television most hated characters of all time lists, so. I still hear about April all the time. And you know what's been great is actually I have met some people who were like, I always liked her. And I'm like, thank you. Where were you? You know, 10 years ago. But no, it has been actually really cool. I mean, Gilmore Girls is such a special show. It resonated with so many people. It meant so much to so many people. It meant so much to me as an actor and as a fan. But it's crazy. It was probably the first thing I did that really people still recognize me from it to this day. And that's really cool to have been a part of a show that really shaped a generation. Like, I think back on it too, and I was like, wow, it was so cool to be a part of a show where a girl's education was just as big of a storyline as like which boy she was going to end up with, and a single mother who started her own business, and that was a huge storyline for her too. Like, I think we resonated with the Gilmore Girls. We all wanted to be the Gilmore Girls. We all wanted to be that witty and that driven, and it was about who they were and what they were able to do with their lives, and that definitely shaped me as a girl. It was just such a fun show because it was about these amazing relationships, and it was told in this amazing comedic, fast-paced way that was so entertaining but also so heartwarming.
It has been a long year. Yeah, where it's been anything but normal.
Well, now there's hope. The COVID vaccines.
I know. It's been a little confusing.
Like, really confusing.
So it's more important than ever to make a plan. Visit planyourvaccine.com
to find out where and when to get your vaccine.
What are you waiting for?
Roll up your sleeves and plan your vaccine.
Plan your vaccine.
Plan your vaccine.
Stay connected and stream the news you need with Xfinity X5.
Our top story is unfolding right now.
The fast speed you depend on and a reliable connection for all your devices, whenever and however you watch with Xfinity X5. Stay connected and stream the news you need with Xfinity X5.
Our top story is unfolding right now.
The fast speed you depend on.
We begin with breaking news right now in Florida.
And a reliable connection for all your devices.
This story matters to all of us.
Whenever and however you watch.
Our bite-sized mix of everything you love about all 4 hours of our show, but half the calories.
Oh yes.
With Xfinity X5. Stay connected and stream the news you need with Xfinity X5.
Our top story is unfolding right now.
The fast speed you depend on and a reliable connection for all your devices. Whenever and however you watch with Xfinity X5.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Today. Future's looking bright.
Are you ready?
We're going to do our part to spread the word on the importance of vaccines, so crucial for reopening America.
A big day around here. A very special naturalization ceremony.
Many of them doctors, nurses, other essential workers.
If you are a nurse, thank you.
Spring has sprung, guys, and we want to fill this season with some fun and surprises.
Yes.
This is the face of excitement. Celebrating Earth Day. Let's change the world. Love it!
You break, you buy. You break it, you buy it. 10% off for cousins, 20% off for nephews and nieces. Mrs. Kim is a wonderful character that Amy created. She had hard times immigrating from Korea to Stars Hollow. And as the watchers of Gilmore Girls knows, that her husband is gone a lot. So she pretty much had to raise Lane by herself and run a business. So she's a very warm, loving character that goes out of her way to be strict with Lane for Lane's own benefit, so that her life will be better in this new country than Mrs. Kim had it. So it all comes from love. In my mind, Mr. Kim was a rock star. He was like John Cho, you know? So on the reboot, when they had my husband, I was like, no! Although he's a very sweet man, but in my mind, through those 7 years, Mr. Kim was this excellent musician, rock and roller, and the most good-looking guy on the planet, in my mind. When I went in to audition for the Gilmore Girls, I went in with a Korean accent. I said, no daddy, no sugar, no wheat. And Amy Palladino goes, what are you doing? I said, I'm doing a Korean accent. She goes, no, don't do that. I said, wow, how refreshing. Because it's, I think, based on a real character. So she did say, though, that Mrs. Kim was very military, very strict. So that's where the cadence of Mrs. Kim came from, in that audition room with Amy and Dan and everybody.
Mom! Lane? Mom? Lane? Mom, where are you?
Lane, where are you?
Back here.
Over here. We shot the pilot for the Gilmore Girls in Toronto, Canada, which was a big treat. And when I first went into Kim's Antiques, I was taken aback because there were chairs everywhere. You couldn't hardly move. I said, how are they going to shoot in here? And that's where I think in the pilot we did Marco Polo, because we had to, because there was no line of sight. And that's where Mrs. Kim first said, boys don't like funny girls. So, how was school? None of the girls get pregnant, drop out?
Not that we know of. Though come to think of it, Joanna Posner was glowing a little.
What?
Nothing, Mama. She's just kidding.
Boys don't like funny girls.
Noted.
And that is Mrs. Kim in a nutshell. Not funny, but kind of funny. I am so grateful to have done Mrs. Kim in the Gilmore Girls, because I can count on one hand the number of Asian American characters that have a well-rounded home life in one hand at that point. And this was 7 years of watching Lane from high school to her first date to marriage and children. As far as favorite moments, when Lane got married, oh my God, I was weeping.
Okay.
I'm going to wear earplugs tonight. The good ones that expand in your ear, so I won't be able to hear anything that might be going on out in the street at all hours of the night.
And so it was really hard for me to walk down that aisle without Mr. Kim, as usual, and not just be this weeping mess. So I just had to suck it up and be Mrs. Kim. But, you know, after so many years of being her mom and living through so many important moments of her life, I couldn't help but be deeply moved at that moment, even with that speech about what she had to do on her wedding night.
Going to have to do it with this boy, Lane. You're just going to have to do it. Hopefully, if you're lucky like me, you'll only have to do it once.
One of my favorite moments in the Gilmore Girls was when, I'm going to cry, but I'm going to try not to cry, was when I found that Lane had been lying to me, and she hid all this stuff under a floorboard.
Is this all?
And I kicked her out of the house. And that was the hardest thing to do because I loved her so much, but I knew that if I let this go, it would be bad for her character.
Children do not make the rules. You may move out and live like that somewhere else.
So that was one of the hardest things to do and one of the most fulfilling because I did it, I hurt myself because I loved her so much. I was so lucky to have Keiko Agena play Lane Kim because she is just a fantastic actress. And we didn't really have to work because she was so present and all I had to do was bounce off of her and the connection was just natural. What I love about the Gilmore Girls is that here we are, 20 years later. I was walking down the streets of Manhattan and somebody stopped me and her husband broke down crying and we hugged and we took selfies because Gilmore Girls and Mrs. Kim had that much of an effect on her. And it makes me proud to be part of that Gilmore Girls love and affection that continues today. Gilmore Girls was a show that was based on love. There was conflict, there was disagreements, but it was all based on love and mutual respect. And I think that our audiences appreciate that and cling to it. Because especially now, when you watch a show like Gilmore Girls, it makes you feel warm inside and happy. And you look around at your family and your friends and you appreciate them just a little bit more because the show reminds you of what's important in life. Right now, Mrs. Kim is taking care of her twin grandboys. And she is just as strict on them, but they have started a band. And Mrs. Kim is the lead singer. Watch out for the music video.
Good morning. Welcome to Today.
Start your day with us every morning. Get your daily dose of news on the go with the Today podcast. And stream Today anytime you want.
Today, all day.
Every day.
Wherever you are, Today is there.
The Meet the Press Chuck Toddcast. Free wherever you get your podcasts.
Good morning. Welcome to Today.
Start your day with us every morning. Get your daily dose of news on the go with the Today podcast. And stream Today anytime you want.
Today, all day.
Every day.
Wherever you are, Today is there. For breaking news in our changing world, download the NBC News app.
It has been a long year.
Yeah, where it's been anything but normal.
Well, now there's hope. The COVID vaccines.
I know. It's been a little confusing.
Like, really confusing.
So it's more important than ever to make a plan. Visit planyourvaccine.com
to find out where and when to get your vaccine.
What are you waiting for?
Roll up your sleeves and plan your vaccine.
Plan your vaccine.
Plan your vaccine. The Meet the Press Chuck Toddcast. Free wherever you get your podcasts.
Some experts say that this bill still isn't enough. Do you accept that criticism? There's been a ton of confusion from the CDC. Can we try to clear some of this up? Is America safer today with the Taliban in charge of Afghanistan? If it's Sunday, it's Meet the Press.
I would describe Finn as a lovable rogue. He's a little naughty, very privileged, and quite the drinker. So yeah, I didn't think that the audience would take well to him, but apparently he was quite popular, which is good, I think. Amy created the role because she said she wanted to add a little bit of edge to the show, and I guess she thought I was a little edgy, and that's how Finn came about. Being cast on Gilmore Girls was pretty special, actually. I was really lucky. I had just gotten to America, and Amy wanted Matt Zuckery for a role, but Warner Brothers said that they had to audition some other people. So they brought me in as fodder, really. And obviously I didn't get the role of Logan, but Amy thought we'd like to have him on as a sidekick, and that's how the Life and Death Brigade started. I think the Life and Death Brigade certainly brought something different to the show, and there was a certain camaraderie between us all. For me, that was kind of fortuitous because everything I'd done up until that point was in the theatre. So the three of us or the four of us would get together and we would have poker nights, or, you know, we would go on little bro nights, or, you know, we did things a lot. We never spent time in our trailers alone. We were always together. We would run lines together. We would do anything we could together, basically. And I think that shows on screen. You can tell that we genuinely like each other and we had a great time. And I think that was really my MO, was just have fun. And we had a lot of fun. The thing I really remember about shooting my first scene at Yale was the director was Kenny Ortega, and Kenny Ortega is famous for directing a lot of Michael Jackson's videos and has done a lot of big productions, a lot of big musicals. And the consistent note he gave me during that episode was bigger, Tank, bigger, bigger, bigger.
Hold on, hold on. Yes, here. This is where she lives.
And so I was having a load of fun putting on this, you know, big over-the-top performance, which didn't end well, because next week I got a note from Warner Brothers saying, Tank, we need you to just turn it down a bit. So, yeah. And nail polish. I think I had nail polish on in that episode. I had nail polish for a couple of episodes, yeah. Yeah, we tried to push the boundaries a little. Favourite moments as Finn were, number one, the scene with Ed Herman.
What are you doing with that? That's my tennis racket. I told you she didn't point to the closet on the right.
Well, then I have no idea what closet she was pointing to.
I suppose these humidors aren't hers either. Pity. Any chance you're sick of them? I promise to give them a nice home and show them a picture of you every year at Christmas.
Which was, it was just one of those moments where the connection we had with the three, that was the only scene I shot with him, which was a lot of fun. The second scene would be You Jump, I Jump, Jack. That was an exterior, it was a very lavish shoot. We were running out of light, and I think the cinematographer ended up walking off set because we didn't have enough light. He didn't want to shoot it, and Amy said, I'll shoot it. And so that whole scene with the skirmish gun is one take.
All right, I'm bored. I want to be a target.
You're always a target, Finn.
In omnia paratus.
That's why it's a steady cam, and it was just like, it was a great way to bring everyone together. The third scene, I would say, was the revival. Doing the tango in the revival, we spent a good month rehearsing that, so that was a lot of fun. In regards to some of Finn's lines, yes, they are often quoted back to me, which came at a complete surprise because I had no idea these lines would mean anything. I actually questioned Amy on some of the lines. I didn't think internally that they were particularly funny or resonant or important in any way, shape or form. But apparently they were. What's that? God is speaking to me rather rudely.
Good morning, New Haven. My, you look fresh and appealing tonight. Shut up. God has spoken to me, rather rudely.
My God, those are good genes.
I'm Colin. This is Finn, and you are...
Her mother.
My God, those are good genes.
Yeah, that was a good one. We impro'd the little thing. That was like the little stuff that we could do. Yeah, I remember reading that thinking, I don't really, but yeah, that's a good line. Why do I think Gilmore Girls is loved 20 years later? That is a great question. I can tell you why it was loved originally. I think it was because it was the first show that really championed smart, intellectual, articulate women. I don't think at that point in time there was anything like that. It was also the first show that tackled with single mums and the challenges of raising a child and the dynamic between those two. I don't think there was anything like that at the time, which is why a lot of people resonated with the show. It appealed to a younger and an older audience, as in the mums and the daughters. What's interesting 20 years later is now a lot of the people that were watching the show for Rory are now watching it for Lorelai because they're now the mothers, and so that's kind of flipped. I still get messages on social media every day about how connected people feel to Gilmore Girls. It really is a special show. I think that's wonderful to be a part of. I feel very grateful, and I'm glad that Amy brought this to the world.
Sorry, kids, it's time to trade in those swimsuits for back-to-school clothes.
I can't believe it's that time already, but no worries. Our fashionista and style expert, Liliana Vasquez, has all the cool new trends, and we are talking back to school.
Yeah, well, you nailed it, because back to school is back to school, but what we've done is made back to school extra cool this season, because we're really letting kids show off their personality. Even at a young age, they already know what they want, so have fun with back to school shopping, and let this reflect how vibrant and fun they are with their style choices.
All right, so we're starting with elementary school.
We are. Okay, so we are starting with Soraya. How adorable is she? Now, the thing for elementary school kids is you want to add an element of whimsy to all the fashion. So we love this adorable little dress. What's so cool about this is that it's actually two pieces. So you can make it a little jumper like we styled it here.
Cute.
Or you can take the top off and just make it a skirt. This is from Children's Saloon. They have unique, one-of-a-kind styles. We added printed leggings because we want to send her to school with leggings, not just with a dress. Adorable sneakers, and then Justice actually has these little lunch boxes that you can customize with their name. So we gave her a little S for Soraya.
Soraya, look at the glitter in there.
Adorable.
You like it? And what's in your hair?
Oh, she's got a little surprise for us. We're going to show you that in just a little bit. Okay, and then we've got my man Blake here, who's also showing us how to do whimsy for the boys. So a really bright electric blue jacket from Rockets of Awesome. We know their kids' clothes are already awesome. You can, of course, sign up for the subscription, but now you can shop a la carte on their website or even at their pop-up here in New York. So bright blue. We added a little electricity to this look with the lightning bolt shirt, mixed it with prints, and then added a bold pop of color on those shoes from Janie and Jack, and then add color with the backpacks, you guys.
So
and look at this. Masonette has beautiful backpacks for kids in all different colors. He looks like he is ready for back to school.
I think you look Rockets of Awesome. Do you like it?
You look
Can we
adorable.
high five?
The bell gotta go. Wait, we gotta go. We gotta go.
Okay,
middle school. We gotta go to middle school now.
Oh no!
Look at you, the
Nobody
smile.
wants to be late for class. Okay,
Right.
but when you go to class, you want to look as cool as my middle schoolers here. So Amaya is rocking the iridescent metallic trend for girls in middle school. So she's got a Rockets of Awesome metallic hoodie, this cool iridescent track jacket from Zara, which we love. But check out those cool high top sneakers. You don't just have to do iridescent on clothes. You can do it with shoes as well. These are available at Justice right now. They are awesome. And then the finishing touch for her look, of course, is a great backpack from OMG Accessories. It's an amazing line that just designs bags for tweens, you guys. But I know that you noticed
Wait a second,
something.
before you get to that, this other bag, the fanny pack.
Jill, you love a fanny pack.
You know I love a fanny. Joanne, REP, is sporting her fanny pack.
So little kids can actually sport the fanny pack now as well. And then we got to talk about her hair.
No, I love these little jewels.
So this is amazing.
Yeah, so
this is a company
Look,
called...
I'm just like touching
I know, you're like petting her. So this is from Blinger, and this is so easy to use. So all you do is line up the hair with the jewels, and you click it like this.
That didn't hurt, right?
No, it didn't. And then you just kind of click it. It's like a sticker in her hair. And you can see I've put them all over. And this is available at a company called wickedtoys.com.
So
just a
cute.
fun way to add extra metallic to her look.
It's so
How do
great.
I do
I know.
it?
You can keep it.
Give me one. Liliana, we have to do this on her hair.
This is so cute.
Okay.
I can't stand it.
Wait, hold on. You're putting it in the wrong.
Oh my God.
We'll do it during the break.
We're going to do it during the
Never
break.
mind.
Okay,
bye. Thank you.
All right, so now we have my man Jonathan here. Now, camo is huge for boys at this age. These joggers are under $20. They're available from Target.com. And he's also doing a denim jacket, but he's doing it in a lighter color. This is just as versatile as a blue denim jacket because you want to make sure that these back-to-school fashions carry over throughout the year. This isn't just about one outfit. It's about having a lot of value in your children's closet. So this one is adorable on him. Cute little shoes, and then we added a little bulldog print Oxford to, again, make the Oxford shirt fun and youthful and playful for them.
Are you ready for school?
Yes.
No.
No.
Right?
But you look cute. Do you
we
like
have to go to high school.
Okay, wait, we're late. We're late.
We're late. And I have to say,
Yeah.
Leah's daughter, Sophia, is 15 and going into 10th grade. So you can identify with this whole situation, right?
Yes.
Okay, so
although she wears a uniform, which I'm so grateful for.
Right. That makes it easy.
That does make it easier. So Caitlin, you're also 15, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so 15 years old. So the thing in high school right now, it's all about tie-dye and neon. So Caitlin is showing us this tie-dye sweatshirt from Boohoo. Kids want tie-dye lightened up. They want it in a cropped silhouette because that's just cooler for the kids. Culottes, a huge denim trend for everyone going back to school. And then I love the chunky white sneaker. These are both from H&M. And then you guys, mini backpacks for the high schoolers are what they want. It's just a more stylish way to do a backpack.
No, my daughter wears oversized sweatshirts,
champion sweatshirts,
and leggings. That's
which
anywhere,
like those
by the way.
champion sweatshirts
Sorry.
are back
those
for
are huge.
all of us. Hi.
And then Sage is showing us how the boys want to do neon. It's a subtle way to do it, just a little neon t-shirt instead of that classic white t-shirt. We kept everything else really neutral because that's what you want to do with neons. This t-shirt from Zara and then a printed pant instead of a jean. That's another way to add a pant into your guys' wardrobes.
cute.
And then I love these sneakers. These are from Sperry. They're the Captain CVO sneaker. They've been around since 1935 for a reason. They're classic, and I like seeing boys in a sneaker that's not so athletic. This feels more like a stylish sneaker. If he's going to church or a family event, he can wear these more dressed up.
Did you sport this first day of school? Yeah, you look great. All right, I'm going to let you bedazzle
Let me
Leah.
fling her hair.
And to get these looks, head to today.com/shop. Thanks, Liliana.
Thank you, guys.
We'll be back right after this. Say bye.
There it is.
So cute.
Back to school cool.
I love it.
Oh, that one doesn't look
Today is now a podcast, available every morning. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
Good morning. Welcome to Today. Nice to have you with us. We wanted to surprise Ellie and make her wish come true. What do you think about coming to visit us? Yes.
There's only one thing that people are saying.
You are. The Meet the Press Chuck Todd Cast. Free wherever you get your podcasts.
Good morning. Welcome to Today. Nice to have you with us. We wanted to surprise Ellie and make her wish come true. What do you think about coming to visit us? Yes.
There's only one thing that people are saying.
You are.
Stay connected and stream the news you need with Xfinity X5.
Our top story is unfolding right now.
The fast speed you depend on and a reliable connection for all your devices, whenever and however you watch with Xfinity X5. Make the most of your day with
Today in 30. We give you a mix of everything you love about our show
in a mere 30 minutes.
Savannah and Hoda bring you what you must know. The biggest moments of the morning.
One Republic!
Exclusive interviews.
Why did it work for you?
You're right. I am more talented than the rest.
And important headlines.
Major medical news this morning.
Watch Today in 30 on your schedule. Streaming every day on Today All Day. For breaking news in our changing world, download the NBC News app.
It was a celebrity welcome for some really special kids who were in store for a day of pampering.
You like it? You look? Yeah.
Yeah, I never got my hair on.
Can you show me your biggest smile?
As the 25 models got ready for the runway, it truly was a bonding moment connecting with others just like them.
Do you feel good about tonight now? You're ready? I'm so proud of you. You are gorgeous.
Thank you.
In every single way.
Oh, that's cool.
occupational therapist Jill Smith is the force behind Show Your Shine, an adaptive runway fashion show showcasing kids and adults with limb loss or limb differences.
Today is about people being amongst others like themselves, feeling free to be who they are, and to show everyone that different is normal and different is okay and different is beautiful. You are a rock star, and today is all about you guys.
Proceeds from the event are going directly to the nonprofit, the Limkind Foundation, started by Jill's brother Robert Schulman, who has been a prosthetist for 25 years.
We provide prostheses to children in need all over the world in areas that have had extreme poverty and different types of natural disasters.
Over the past 2 years, Limkind volunteers have traveled to Haiti and the Philippines. And this year, they are expanding efforts to Ethiopia and Kenya. Nicole Gren, the MC for the fashion show, is a Limkind volunteer.
A little over 4 years ago, I lost both of my legs above the knee due to a rare heart condition that I did not know I had. And basically, to save my life, they had to amputate, and it really did save my life.
But she found her purpose by giving back to others like her.
I feel very lucky and very blessed that I got to experience the lives of people in a different country, and they're the same as me, and yet they're still living and they're happy. So I needed to be too, you know? So I feel like this was my destiny, Limkind.
So then it was lights, camera, action. Models like 10-year-old Michaela Metz, as well as 9-year-olds Bella Smith and Logan Passe, headed down the catwalk.
When I walk down the runway, I want people to see that you have to be yourself. When I walk down the runway, I want people to see that being an amputee doesn't really matter. When I walk down that runway, I want people to see that anything is possible, including the impossible.
But it is their differences that make every single participant part of such a beautiful community.
It's just for one day that they feel like they are on top of the world and the most important person, and that they are made to feel beautiful as they are, then that's amazing.
Welcome back to the third hour of today. And interesting article, Parents Magazine. It says you should let your teens choose what they wear. Helps them explore their identity. But let's widen it out, because you guys don't have teens yet. Do you let, for example, Dell's old enough to get dressed by himself. Chanel, your kid's old enough to get dressed by themselves. Do you let them get dressed by themselves? Wear what they want?
Yes.
I say yes all the way up to 13.
But now it has to be seasonally appropriate. That's the only time where one of us will intervene. If it's too cold to wear something, then we'll say, no, you got to go with pants.
Sydney is a rock star. Like, I feel like she could rock some cowboy boots and a tutu and a...
Well, the problem is that oftentimes she likes to try. Like, she'll put on some stuff in the morning, and then she'll be like, oh, Daddy, how do I look? And, I want to be honest and, say, oh, sweetie, that doesn't match at all.
Do you let her wear it?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. But for a different reason. For me, it's not worth the hassle. It's not worth the fight or the fit. Just let her. How about you guys? Calvin, can he dress himself yet?
No. But I give him options. He's very opinionated. There are certain things he will not wear. But if I hold up two shirts, he'll pick one. Or if I pull out jeans, he's like, no, I want soft pants. Is what he calls his.
Oh, that's funny that you say that. My kids, I cannot get them in jeans anymore. I remember Erica Hill told me once, she was like, you wait. She's like, when they get to like 7, they're not going to want to wear jeans. And I was like, ha, 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 ha. And I called her. I was like, you're right. I guess it's because they like to run around. We all like sweats, right? So if you have a choice.
Yeah.
I'm in them right now.
Especially in the warm weather, And here's what I find. The kids don't really care. And again, there's a little gender thing. I think our spouses, our husbands, if we dress our children, you guys tend to find fault with it. And then complain when we don't help out, making sure.
Yes.
So, as I have said to Deborah, okay, so Leela went out when she was 5 or 6, and she had stripes and polka dots. Do you think that she was going to be ostracized in her first grade class? No. So why are you fighting
The
it?
thing is, there is a shirt that matches the striped pants, or there is a shirt that matches the polka dot shirt. So why are you splitting up a matched pair?
Because they liked it. I said, go for it. Fine. Why are you letting that girl out of the house looking like that? She looks fine. Go and prosper.
And she's 6, and she won't remember. And Dylan, who's to say that stripes and polka dots don't match?
Yeah.
Sure.
There you
Yeah.
All right.
And
I
other
stand
kids do it
corrected.
too. When you get to school and you realize they're all doing it,
Here's where I draw the line.
Anymore? What?
It's the pants down around the butt. You know?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Nick came downstairs about 3 or 4 months ago with that. And I went, I will kill you. You
know what those kids call that?
You get a belt.
They call that busting a sag.
Yeah, well, I was about to
sag.
bust something else. You know,
So anything you want, you just can't sag your pants.
Can't sag your pants. But you don't let your boys sag their pants, do you?
No, first of all, they're little string beans. So if they're sagging their pants, it's not their fault. They just need to eat
Because they're
more.
falling off.
well, when Calvin's wearing saggy pants, that's another story.
And good evening from New Orleans. There is breaking news. There you go.
For breaking news in our changing world, download the NBC News app.
The Meet the Press Chuck Toddcast, free wherever you get your podcasts.
Stay connected and stream the news you need with Xfinity X5.
Our top story is unfolding right now.
The fast speed you depend on.
We begin with breaking news right now in Florida.
And a reliable connection for all your devices.
This story matters to all of us.
Whenever and however you watch.
Our bite-sized mix of everything you love about all 4 hours of our show, but half the calories.
Oh, yes. With Xfinity X5.
Some experts say that this bill still isn't enough. You accept that criticism? There's been a ton of confusion from the CDC. Can we try to clear some of this up? Is America safer today with the Taliban in charge of Afghanistan?
If it's Sunday, it's Meet the Press.
Let's go. And good evening from New Orleans. There is breaking news. There you go. Let's go. This is a critical choke point for this fire. And good evening from New Orleans. Nice to really spend some time with you. Appreciate
it. Today is now a podcast available every morning. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
Entrepreneurs Thinking Boldly is sponsored by new Bold and Smooth 1850 brand coffee. Begin boldly.
If you want to find success in business, you have to think boldly, of course. And Dylan has a story of a brother-sister duo doing just that.
This is cool. Andy Dunn and Monica Royer hatched their plan to make simple yet chic children's clothing in 2014. Today, it's evolved into a successful business, opening the eyes of shoppers and bringing communities together.
There's a new kid on the block, born from the idea that all babies deserve better.
As I had my daughter, literally the day she was born, I was shopping for her online, and I was really surprised at what I didn't find.
What was missing, says founder Monica Royer, was exceptional customer service paired with quality products. So in 2014, she and her younger brother Andy Dunn, who found success with his men's apparel company Bonobos, launched an online collection of super soft, functional, organic children's clothing. They named it Monica and Andy.
At the core, Monica and Andy stands for the aspirations that siblings would be best friends.
It's about a friendship in a relationship.
Seashells, sharks, snacks, a handful of playful limited edition prints that change every season. Backed by a celebrity following and marketed with images that show real kids from different backgrounds.
Fashion for a long time has really painted an ideal of what people are supposed to look like, and the reality is you're supposed to look like you.
Andy and I were brought up by parents from two completely different cultures. Our mom is an immigrant from India. Our dad's family has been here for a few generations. We were very different as kids from the other kids. I mean, we didn't quite fit into one space or another. And so I think that inclusiveness is something that Andy and I hold of very high importance.
So to create a sense of inclusiveness, the siblings opened the first of 5 brick-and-mortar shops in Chicago, where daily events range from music classes to one-on-one consultations. 72% of millennials say they'd rather spend their money doing something, but give them an activity while they're shopping, and sales figures show it's a winning combination. A concept that's part of a growing trend called experiential shopping, adopted by other companies like Starbucks and Lululemon.
This idea to build experiences has been probably the strongest component to physical retail for us. People still want a place to go and things to do.
Community building that also includes an interactive blog and weekly podcasts that Royer hosts with industry leaders.
There's something special happening here where this is not just a company that's selling clothes, it's selling an idea around what it means to be a mom in a modern age. And I think when brands stand for an idea that's bigger than just the sum of the parts, when you have some real magic, and I think we're in the early innings.
That's so cool.
That's really
It is cool. And they say they're doing so much more than just posting on social media pictures of their products. You know, they really want to open a dialogue and have a conversation with parents about what they want, what they need, and really talk with them as opposed to just talking at them.
I love the fact that it's brother and sister because,
That's
you know,
so
it's like
sweet.
that
Yes.
aspiration that siblings would love each other
Yes,
and be
they
best
can
friends
get
for life.
along.
Yes. I'm going to tell that to mine, too.
Everyone here is going to relate to this and the clothing choices they picked. Christina Carbonell and Galen Bernard think of themselves as the Crayola of clothing. And for clothing company Primary, kids are the primary focus.
This sells so well for boys and girls. We are normalizing the fact that it's okay for boys to wear pink and purple, or the fact that not all girls want to wear sparkles.
For friends, colleagues, and moms, Christina Carbonell and Galen Bernard, the idea behind their children's clothing brand, Primary, was a personal one.
I have twin girls who don't like pink and purple, and I had to buy them boys' jackets because they wanted orange. And that, at that point, it was 2015, felt so silly.
So tell me the premise of Primary.
To help every kid feel confident in who they are without prescribing what colors are boys and girls colors, and without prescribing what styles boys and girls should wear.
The duo saw an open space in the market for gender-neutral, affordable clothing for kids. You find this white space and you say to each other, what?
We can do this differently. We're parents first. We want to create a solution.
That takes a lot of guts to leave your job for basically an idea in your head.
It felt terrible to think about not ever trying this. And it felt okay thinking about, like, if we tried it and it didn't work, we would be able to go find something else. And so I think that and like a little bit of a Thelma and Louise, like, let's hold hands and like do this, just like made it sort of a no-brainer.
Did you have money in the bank at the time, or was this like a...
No, we had nothing.
It was a risk. As the two women started to raise funding, they faced an unexpected question.
We did get the question actually really early on whether our husbands were funding it, which is just an interesting perspective, but that wasn't the case for us at all.
Like, oh, you're leaving your jobs or your husbands?
We knew that we would have to raise venture capital to fund this business. That's very intimidating. It's not something that we had experience with, but we were lucky to have mentors and advisors who could guide us through that process.
Christina and Galen used every connection they had to set up meetings.
We got 100 no's and we got 2 yeses.
So tell me about your first yes.
I was sitting at lunch and the email came in with the actual term sheet. These things aren't real until you see it in writing, and I started crying. And that was like the first real, oh, this is like really happening. We really did it.
They launched their direct-to-consumer platform in 2015.
We launched it in sort of an extremely simple place. Only solids, super soft fabrics in a rainbow of colors. No logos, no slogans, no sequins, which was really important and still is. That simplicity piece where there aren't tags and there aren't seams.
The bottom line, this year their business for babies and kids has doubled.
You don't have to be 25 to launch a business. In starting a business, it's a big benefit to have had life experience, to have had business experience. It's almost like the same advice I got when I was thinking about having kids, which was there's no perfect time. It's never going to be like, oh, right now. We view ourselves as the Crayola of kids' clothing. They're essentials that every kid needs that are colorful and fun, and you can't go wrong.
Stay connected and stream the news you need with Xfinity X5.
Our top story is unfolding right now.
The fast speed you depend on.
We begin with breaking news right now in Florida.
And a reliable connection for all your devices.
This story matters to all of us.
Whenever and however you watch.
Our bite-sized mix of everything you love about all 4 hours of our show, but half the calories.
Oh, yes. With Xfinity X5. Make the most of your day with
Today in 30.
We give you a mix of everything you love about our show
in a mere 30 minutes.
Savannah and Hoda bring you what you must know. The biggest moments of the morning.
One Republic!
Exclusive interviews.
Why did it work for you?
You're right. I am more talented than the rest.
And important headlines.
Major medical news this morning.
Watch Today in 30 on your schedule. Streaming every day on Today All Day.
Today is now a podcast, available every morning. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
Make the most of your day with
Today in 30.
We give you a mix of everything you love about our show
in a mere 30 minutes.
Watch Today in 30 on your schedule. Streaming every day on Today All Day.
The Meet the Press Chuck Toddcast. Free wherever you get your podcasts.
Today is now a podcast, available every morning. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
I think we've all noticed style has taken a backseat to comfort over the last year, but spring is coming, so we wanted to take a look at some trends that are sure to reintroduce fashion and beauty back into our lives. So here to share what's all the rage right now, head of fashion partnership at Instagram, Eva Chen. Good morning, Eva.
Hi.
How you doing?
Good morning. How are you guys?
I'm
put on
doing
makeup
great.
for you today.
I'm loving the whole look you've got going on. So before we dive into trends, I can't believe New York Fashion Week started on Sunday. What is significant about this very different year? How are the industry and how are the designers getting creative?
Well, New York Fashion Week and the collections obviously have changed a lot because people are viewing it from their phone, from their laptops, and at home. So the experience is different. I'm currently in sweatpants on the bottom, and I will be watching shows later on my Instagram. So it's a comfortable experience, but of course we miss the togetherness. And right now, you know, Black and Fashion Council, you're seeing some images from the House of Amma, which is a great account. We're all about elevating Black-owned businesses, especially right now during this historic month.
All right, let's dig into some of the trends here. A trend we may even be seeing on the runway. It's called streetwear vintage. I'm trying to figure out what that means. Can you tell us about it?
So this is an amazing creator named Kia, and her Instagram is the notorious Kia, which I love. Now, you might remember some of these trends. I know I do from the 90s. We're talking about jerseys. We're talking about oversized. We're talking about construction boots. And she makes it look incredibly cool. This is one of her Instagram reels, and she's a master of what we call transitions, where she's hopping, she's moving, she's jumping to go from outfit to outfit. I love what she's wearing. Don't know if I can pull it off, but I think she looks amazing.
So that's what I was going to ask you. I mean, are we supposed to try some shoulder pads again? Like, is there any takeaway for the rest of us normal people? Like, can we pull off anything?
I think when you look at what Kia has done, and she's so creative and she's all about thrifting.
She's gorgeous.
You might think about how to add some sustainability to your style.
Okay.
Can you go to your local thrift shop? Can you buy vintage and do something a little oversized? She pairs a lot of oversize and plays with proportions really well.
Cool. I'm thinking of the 90s, and I mean, just the pictures I have of myself from the 90s, not great. But I mean, besides fashion, it can also include outfits. I mean, it can also include like fingernails and whatnot. 90s nail art, is that coming back?
90s nail art, it's coming back. 90s, everything is coming back. If you go on Instagram Reels, you can see that 90s are the hottest decade right now. So this is a nail creator who's based in New York. She's Japanese, named Nails by May. She is adorable. She's done the nails for like goddesses like Dua Lipa or Bella Hadid and Jonathan Van Ness, who is a goddess himself. And so 90s style nail art, you can see she's playing with a Nintendo on this Reels. They're long. Sometimes they are jelly textured. Remember those jelly sandals that we used to wear in the 90s? I don't want to age myself, but I used to wear them.
I love my jelly.
She's all about that jelly-like texture. A longer nail, which might be hard when you're on the phone a lot, but it's what's trending in fashion and on Instagram right now.
Okay, my mom's nails never went away, so she's like, I'm back in fashion. I don't want to run out of time. We have 2 minutes. Let's talk about beauty. What makes monochromatic makeup so cool?
So remember in the 90s when we all used to do like taupe lips, taupe eyes, taupe blush? It's back. So this is Shelby Contra, who is a self-taught makeup artist in Los Angeles. You're watching one of her reels tonight right now where she's using the same camel tone on her face. How cute is she? You're able to learn from her reels because she really takes you through step by step the entire look. And I mean, she pulls it off, right?
Pretty.
You could also see J-Lo pulling this look off like in the 90s as well. It's something that she's done effortlessly for the last decade, and it still looks great.
Again, my monochromatic look did not look like that in the 90s.
You know, like teens today have a lot of polish.
They do.
Kids today,
They certainly do. Let's talk about kids today. How can they get in on the fashion fun?
Well, kids today, I remember growing up. This is me and my daughter, actually. I remember growing up and wearing like whatever was around, but kids today are high fashion kids. And so mommy and me dressing is very popular on Instagram. A lot of fashion influencers on Instagram like to twin with their kids. So this is my daughter, Ren, and myself. And there's a lot of jewelry lines and accessory lines. One of my favorite is a brand called Super Smalls, where it's made for kids, but I've definitely been known to borrow a few of the hair clips and hair accessories right now. It's all about pulling your hair back, you know, as a busy mom. I know you both are moms
I'm like
as well. So
Exhibit A.
It's all about that mommy and me style. You can look up the hashtag mommy and me fashion on Instagram, and it's all right there.
I love it. I know my husband and my son wear matching bathing suits all the time, too. So a daddy and me component to that, too. Eva, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
And you can learn more about these trends and the Instagram creators who modeled them at thirdhourtoday.com.
What I would love for everybody to understand about a surrogacy process is that even though there's so many mixers and tinkers, at the core, it's like this magical thing called life. And that's what this is all about.
Guess where we are? We're at the airport on our way because the babies are coming early. And so here we are in LaGuardia about to board the plane. So you're gonna be an auntie.
Hey love, it's gonna be sooner.
This is crazy.
My name's Rike and this is my husband, Antonio.
I always knew that I was going to be a dad. I never thought about the process, but I really knew that I wanted to be a dad and that I was going to be a dad.
All right, are you excited?
I am.
These are the last steps that you're gonna have as a non-dad.
I know.
So Rike and Antonio I've known for many years, and I remember having conversations about their dreams to be parents and how they envisioned it and wanting 2 children and ideally wanting a boy and a girl. Finally one day we sat down in my office and said, okay, let's talk about this. How does this work?
There are so many misconceptions about surrogacy, egg donors and all that stuff.
So I said, okay, we can get an anonymous egg donor. I collect the eggs, and I can take half her eggs and fertilize it with Antonio's sperm, and half her eggs and fertilize it with Rike's sperm. And now we have biologic embryos from both of you that have the biologic link of the egg as well.
Once we were done with the embryo process, we found Conceivability's our surrogacy agency, and we went through the application process.
It has to be extremely overwhelming. Like, how do I find somebody who now wants to carry a pregnancy for me? There are wonderful agencies that this is their job and their role is recruiting gestational carriers, doing some basic medical screening. They have legal teams involved, and they basically are major facilitators in the process. At some point, the embryos have to be transported out of New York and into a state where it's legal to actually do the implant.
She said it really, really kind of sweetly.
you guys might want to book your flights right now. And I was like, wait, what? What is exactly happening? And she's like, yeah, I have preeclampsia, so the doctor thinks you should come now. And I was like, wait, no, what is preeclampsia? She's like, I'm not sure, so I'm going to Google it, so maybe you should Google it. So I said, well, I'm going to hang up right now. You talk to the doctor. And so I called Shiva, our embryologist, who got us through this whole thing. She said it's totally normal, but pack your bags. And so we booked a flight, and here we are.
I'm sure for Rike and Antonio, there was, there's such anxiety around, like, it's not our body. We're not in control of it. We're not there at all times either. And these are our babies.
When are they doing the Pitocin again? What time?
At 8 my time. You need to run Macaulay Culkin.
I think I'm gonna call Atlanta police or the state police and get a police escort. All right, love, hang in there.
All right, love you.
Love you.
Love
bye.
you. See you soon.
Bye.
Welcome to Atlanta.
Luckily, which I forgot, they're an hour behind us because we're in Atlanta still. So nothing started, so we're still kind of ahead of the game. Hi.
Hi.
What's going on? How are you?
I'm gonna get a C-section after y'all get here.
What?
Yeah.
What happened?
I'm thinned out, but I still haven't really dilated any.
So they're gonna do the C-section when we get there?
Yeah, it's not an emergency. They're
Right.
just not gonna put me through Pitocin when my blood pressure's not really getting back down.
Okay.
I haven't been pregnant in 10 years. My daughter will be 10 in July. She's my one and only. You think about, helping somebody else who can't have babies of their own, obviously, whether that's same sex or a female who can't have their own. And you're like, oh, I would love to do this. And then it gets closer and closer to delivery, and you're like, oh my gosh, I have not delivered in 10 years. Like, they have to come out of me. You kind of forget about that whole part when you're thinking about, how exciting it is to be able to help somebody else.
All right, love you, and I'll call you in like an hour or so. All right, bye. Woof. That's the update.
We thought that it was really, really far when we started this process 40 years ago. In less than an hour, probably you're gonna be a dad, and I'm gonna be a dad too.
All right, here we go. Oh, you're having contractions.
Sometimes it feels better for a minute when I sit up, but my epidural's not working.
Wow, heartbeats, and they're like neck and neck.
Yeah, both of them at the same time.
I'm
going inside.
Are you ready?
No, I'm not. Are you sure you don't want to come with me?
No, I'm not allowed. Conveniently. You're going to be the first one that sees the baby. How amazing is that?
It's just so overwhelming that I cannot even think about what is about to happen. We are gonna have 2 babies right now.
Love you guys.
We can go the long way.
Love you.
Okay.
I feel like I could throw up. There was this loud, strong, lung-filled cry that pierced through my soul. It felt like everything around me was tingly, and I just lost it. And then because I knew that Luca was coming any second, I was listening to his, and then once I heard his, it was the same exact pull. There's nothing in the world I've ever heard, ever, close to that. Miss Bubba. Oh, your face. Hi, baby. Hi. Yeah. Es preciosa. Joder.
I've never had a C-section before, so you don't know what to expect. The babies came out a minute apart from each other. It's just kind of wild how they're twins but not twins, and they're the same, the exact same weight, the exact same height. But I was just relieved when they came out to know that they were okay, no NICU time. They got to go straight to their daddies.
They are so gorgeous. I can't obviously express how grateful and blessed we are to have found her.
Thank you, Diva.
And how selfless her gift of all of this is, and her complete, genuine, authentic persona, which makes her perfect for this. The last 24 hours felt like a week and a half. No joke. I'm not exaggerating at all. But it's like that Aerosmith song, I don't want to miss a thing. I don't want to close my eyes. Like, literally, that's how I felt all night long. As tired as I was, I just didn't want to stop.
It's impossible to explain what you feel. It's just having these two babies that are part of yourself and are going to be with you for the rest of your life. So beautiful. You just want to be with them. It's overwhelming. It's beautiful.
They're both precious. Wow, we're good baby makers. And Ash is a champ.
I love those two babies. I mean, I always will. It's just kind of surreal that they're here, because surrogacy is such a long process that when they're finally here, you're like, oh my gosh, it's finally here. They're here.
I've never experienced anything like this before, so if anybody has any kind of stigma or any kind of preconceived notion about what the connection between you and your surrogate child is, it's incredible. Bless you. We're ready to go when you're ready to go.
Perfect.
I mean, they look really small, but they are still big for you.
When you're pregnant, you're fixing up a nursery, you're having baby showers, you're buying all these things and doing all these things to prepare for a baby. And so when you're a surrogate, it's really weird to not have to do all of those things.
I gotta at least get a picture holding the both of you,
It's such a long process. And you've got to be in the right mindset. Not everybody can be a surrogate. I've had people say, oh my gosh, are you giving your baby away? And I'm like, it's not my baby to give away. I'm extreme babysitting.
You're tooting, you're hiccuping, okay.
To know that you're growing somebody else's family, and then you're going to birth them and then pass them over, and then they're going to go home.
Be careful.
I know. I love you.
Okay.
We'll see you later.
Remember how tiny they were? They were the size of peanuts.
It's so amazing, so beautiful, the whole scene of us being parents with these two babies. Nobody can prepare you for this love.
They're just so happy. That's just all I wanted for those two.
It's been a really long process, 4 years, more than 4 years. For me, it seems like it was really easy, that it's been really, really fast, and it's been completely the opposite. So you just forget about everything, forget about the process. When you just hold them, it's just so magical. They are just here, and this is the rest of your life.
good evening from New Orleans. There is breaking news. There you go.
Make the most of your day with
Today in 30.
We give you a mix of everything you love about our show
in a mere 30 minutes.
Savannah and Hoda bring you what you must know. The biggest moments of the morning.
One Republic!
Exclusive interviews.
Why did it work for you?
You're right. I am more talented than the rest.
And important headlines.
Major medical news this morning.
Watch Today in 30 on your schedule. Streaming every day on Today All Day.
Today is now a podcast, available every morning. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
Make the most of your day with
Today in 30.
We give you a mix of everything you love about our show
in a mere 30 minutes.
Savannah and Hoda bring you what you must know. The biggest moments of the morning.
One Republic!
Exclusive interviews.
Why did it work for you?
You're right. I am more talented than the rest.
And important headlines.
Major medical news this morning.
Watch Today in 30 on your schedule. Streaming every day on Today All Day.
The Meet the Press Chuck Toddcast, free wherever you get your podcasts.
For breaking news in our changing world, download the NBC News app.
I'm Steve.
And I'm Rob.
And we just adopted 6 kids.
Things are a little busy these days for Steve and Rob Anderson McLean.
Oh, nice catch.
Carlos is 14. Lupe is 13. Maria is 12. Selena is 10. Nasa is 9. And Max is 7.
It's a full house.
Yeah.
Yes, it is. There are not many dull moments.
No. Let's get breakfast.
In May, the couple adopted 6 brothers and sisters who'd spent almost 5 years in foster care.
Do you want your cereal?
They weren't always planning to have such a big family. Together since 2001, they'd spent the last 2 decades raising Steve's sons from a previous marriage. But with the boys now in their 20s, their dads weren't ready for an empty nest.
Tell me about how your family came to be. How did you guys find each other?
We always knew that we wanted to continue being parents. We always felt very strongly with the amount of kids in foster care that that was really the right avenue for us. We probably thought 2 or 3.
Right, initially.
Initially. But as you go through the process, it just breaks your heart seeing these groups. And the larger the sibling group, the more likely it is that the kids are going to be separated. And so then we started thinking like, well, maybe we can do 4, maybe we can do 5.
Then they found the photo that would change their lives.
When we saw them, we just instantly fell in love with them, even though there were 6, a few more than what we originally intended.
What was it like for you guys when you met Steve and Rob for the first time? Were you guys nervous?
I got shocked. I got scared.
I was nervous. I was very nervous.
I thought we could get split apart. I thought we would never get to see my little siblings.
Are you happy that you guys got to stay together?
Yeah.
What were those first conversations like that you had with the kids?
A lot of them had to do with their life books. Kids in foster care create a scrapbook, and they call them life books. And they were very eager and very excited to show us their life books.
What does that describe me? I circled fun, smart, sad, happy, tall. What's it say?
Daydreamer?
Yeah.
Do you like to daydream?
Yeah.
What's going through your head when they're showing you these books?
You realize that they had a lot of life happen before we came into their lives. And I think we were very adamant about, we want to protect them. Everything that's happened in the past, we can't change, unfortunately, but we can make sure that their future is brighter and a happier one for them.
The kids first came to live with Steve and Rob last summer.
I think they felt at home pretty early on. I think we felt like a family pretty quickly.
Here you go. We go through a lot of milk, don't we? Yes, we do. Probably 4 or 5 gallons a week.
What has surprised you the most about having them here?
How much laundry we have. How much laundry 6 little people can produce.
You probably need industrial-sized washers and dryers.
Yeah.
A year after the kids moved in, the couple finalized their adoption.
What did it feel like leaving court altogether? You're officially a family.
It was just a relief. We were just all so happy that it was completed.
A lot of the kids, they would worry that anytime there was any kind of little bump in the road or something that happened, that we were going to change our mind and not want to adopt them.
You know, the little kids especially would ask, you know, are we here forever? Are we going to have to go somewhere else? We just reinforced over and over and over again that you aren't going anywhere. You know, we are a family.
Do you guys ever look at each other and think just like, I can't believe we're really doing this?
Well, through the process, yes.
Right, yes. Now it's, you know, I don't think they're, you know, we don't feel that way now.
To us, it's just life now, you know, just having them here and seeing their eyes every morning and hearing them say, you know, good morning, Daddy, and giving hugs, and any sacrifice that maybe at the time, you know, that we had to make, it was all well worth it. It was all, you know, for the good.
This summer, the dads threw a big party to officially celebrate their new family.
Hi, guys!
Yeah, thank you.
Come on in!
We can't say enough about how lucky we are to have all of them with us, even though, like any family, there's ups and downs. It's not always perfect.
Yeah.
We feel really lucky to have them and that we found each other.
We've heard a lot on social media that, you know, you're heroes, or that you did this for them, or you blessed these kids. And really, I think we're the ones that feel blessed. We're the ones that feel that we're lucky to have them.
Yeah, we're so lucky that we were matched with them. You know, we're the lucky ones.
Let's go. This is a critical choke point for this fire. And good evening from New Orleans. Nice to really spend some time with you. Appreciate
it. Make the most of your day with
Today in 30.
We give you a mix of everything you love about our show
in a mere 30 minutes.
Savannah and Hoda bring you what you must know. The biggest moments of the morning.
One Republic!
Exclusive interviews.
Why did it work for you?
You're right. I am more talented than the rest.
And important headlines.
Major medical news this morning.
Watch Today in 30 on your schedule. Streaming every day on Today All Day.
Let's go. And good evening from New Orleans. There is breaking news. There you go.
Make the most of your day with
Today in 30.
We give you a mix of everything you love about our show
in a mere 30 minutes.
Savannah and Hoda bring you what you must know. The biggest moments of the morning.
One Republic!
Exclusive interviews.
Why did it work for you?
You're right. I am more talented than the rest.
And important headlines.
Major medical news this morning.
Watch Today in 30 on your schedule. Streaming every day on Today All Day. Stay connected and stream the news you need with Xfinity X5.
Our top story is unfolding right now.
The fast speed you depend on and a reliable connection for all your devices, whenever and however you watch with Xfinity X5.
For generations, Sesame Street has taught kids so many important lessons, and now they're tackling a new one.
And they always do it in such a good way. So the importance of celebrating differences and teaching our youngsters about race and racism.
That's right. Well, this time they're doing it through the eyes of two new friends who I got the chance to meet.
Hi, my name is Wes.
Hey, everybody. I'm Elijah Walker.
Hi, Elmo's name is Elmo.
There are two new neighbors in the neighborhood. It is so great to meet you, Wes and Elijah. And Elmo, it's good to see you again.
Good to see you too, Mr. Broker.
While Sesame has always celebrated differences and diversity, a father and son tackle a tough issue, race. Why was it important to address race and differences now?
After what happened last summer, we knew that we needed to be more explicit about talking about race because children and families needed it.
With Sesame's Coming Together initiative, creating the ABCs of racial literacy, seeing the issue as Sesame always does through the eyes of a young child. 5-year-old Wes and his meteorologist dad Elijah's experiences, but starting with the basics.
Elmo wants to know Why Russ's skin is brown.
Oh, I know why, Elmo. My mom and dad told me. It's because of melanin. Right, Dad?
That's right.
Melanin? What's that?
Well, melanin is something that we each have inside our bodies that make the outside of our bodies the skin color that it is. It also gives us our eye and our hair color.
Experts say children begin to notice the differences in race in infancy and start forming their own sense of identity at a very young age. So Sesame decided to tackle race and racism head on. One of the great things about Sesame Street is that people accept people for who they are. But Wes, there have been times where people have done things or said things that didn't make you feel good.
There was one time at my old school when I wanted to be the pretend guitarist, but they said that I couldn't be the pretend guitarist because of the way that I look, because people who look like me should be rappers because they rap the best. And that wasn't very nice. It made me feel really bad. But then I talked to my dad, and he told me that I could be whatever I wanted to be.
A study commissioned by Sesame Workshop of parents with kids ages 6 to 11 reported that 42% had personally experienced discrimination. Nearly 2/3 of those with black children reporting racist incidents. So to help, Sesame created videos like Breathe, Feel, Share to help kids have open conversations about race and racism.
Breathe. To calm down. Feel. Notice how I'm feeling and say it. And then share. Tell a grown-up what happened.
For the grown-ups watching, a guide to help with those tough conversations. Elijah, I've had to have difficult talks with my kids, but it's particularly tough when you've got to talk to a 4 or 5-year-old about race. How difficult is that?
Yeah, we talk about being proud of things. We talk about things that make us unique, and we talk about some of the difficulties that can come.
Were you surprised that after all this time, you still have to have those conversations?
I'm not surprised. I'm disappointed sometimes. But things do seem like they're getting better, but we want to make sure that we equip our kids with the tools that they need to talk about and to exist in this world.
Teaching these lessons through Sesame characters allows for a directness, a lack of nuance that young kids are looking for.
It was important for us to make sure that people understood not only what was right, which is what we were modeling, but also what was wrong. And so this initiative is trying to really represent that for children and to use language that families and children feel comfortable with.
And since Elijah and I share a fondness for forecasts, the weather report seems somewhat similar across the country. Ernie's Grove, Washington, 88 degrees.
A perfect weather to float your rubber ducky.
That's right. Grover Beach, California, 88 degrees.
And that's just super.
Bird City, Kansas, 88 degrees.
Oh man, I'd like to get out to the park and feed the pigeons.
88 degrees in Oscar, Minnesota.
Well, hopefully it'll get some rain. I know Oscar would love that.
Oh, that's fun. So he's a weatherman, huh?
That's right.
I love that.
So,
that's cute.
And you know, it really is what's so special about this. You need to be able to have these conversations. And something like this helps parents, not just the kids, but the parents have those conversations.
And it feels warm. It feels safe.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Good way to start those conversations.
Exactly.
Watch this, and then we can talk through
Right.
it.
So,
good.
and for all these resources to have conversations with your children, it's available for free through Sesame's in the Communities initiative. And you can find a link to it on our website at today.com.
Today is now a podcast available every morning. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
Good morning. Welcome to Today.
Start your day with us every morning. Get your daily dose of news on the go with the Today podcast. And stream Today anytime you want.
Today, all day.
Every day. Wherever you are, Today is there. For breaking news in our changing world, download the NBC News app.
Today is now a podcast available every morning. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
The Meet the Press Chuck Toddcast, free wherever you get your podcasts.
Let's go. This is a critical choke point for this fire. And good evening from New Orleans. Nice to really spend some time with you. Appreciate it.
Stay connected connected and stream the news you need with Xfinity X5.
Our top story is unfolding right now.
The fast speed you depend on and a reliable connection for all your devices, whenever and however you watch with Xfinity X5.
The Meet the Press Chuck Toddcast, free wherever you get your podcasts.
For breaking news in our changing world, download the NBC News app.
Virginia Tech alum Natasha Welch recently got accepted to the university's veterinarian school, and to surprise her family with the news, she had them pose for what she told them was a TikTok challenge. Okay, here's how it went.
All right, so when I say the phrase, you'll have to repeat it as I say it, okay?